The first time Emma's fingers slid through Adrian Moretti's dark hair, she felt the sharp edge of metal, then the tacky crust of old blood, and realized this billionaire's son wasn't being protected in that mansion. He was being hunted inside it. If you were Emma and felt that under someone's hair, would you pretend you didn't notice or pull the truth into the light? Let me know in the comments as we begin. The first time Emma saw the Moretti estate, she thought someone had built a prison out of glass. The mansion rose out of the North Shore fog, like a gleaming ship, all steel and windows, wrapped in high stone walls and guarded gates. Morning traffic toward downtown Chicago hummed in the distance. But here, at the top of the hill, everything was quiet. Too quiet. She pulled her thrift store coat tighter and stepped out of the Uber, feeling the driver's eyes on the long driveway, the security cameras, the black SUVs lined up like sleek panthers. "You sure this is the place?" he asked. Emma swallowed. "Yeah. Pretty hard to miss, right?" "Yeah," he muttered. "Good luck." He drove off quickly, tires hissing over wet asphalt, leaving her alone with her reflection in the polished front doors. Brown skin, a shade too pale from long hospital nights. Dark curls stuffed into a bun. Cheap sneakers, damp from the rain. A canvas backpack hung from one shoulder, frayed at the seams. She looked like someone who belonged on the bus, not in front of a billionaire's home. Emma took a slow breath and touched the worn bracelet on her wrist, the one her younger sister Lily had braided out of hospital bands and pink thread. "For you," Lily had whispered, thin fingers knotting it tight. "So you don't forget why you're doing all this." "I couldn't forget if I tried," Emma whispered back, to no one at all. She pressed the doorbell. There was no sound. Just a tiny red light blinking above the intercom. A moment later, the door unlocked with a soft metallic click. A woman in her 50s opened it. Tall, angular, in a gray dress that matched the clouds. Her dark hair was pinned into a severe twist, not a strand out of place. "You're late," she said. Emma checked her phone. "It's 7:28. You said 7:30. In this house, being on time means being early." The woman's eyes swept over her. Coat, backpack, shoes. "I'm Mrs. Klein, house manager. Come in." The air inside smelled like lemon oil and money-polished wood, fresh flowers, something faintly chemical beneath it all. There were paintings on the walls that looked like they belonged in a museum, not a hallway. Emma wiped her shoes on the mat a second too long. Mrs. Klein noticed. "Do not hesitate," she said sharply. "Hesitation reads as weakness here. You are staff. Staff move with purpose. Do you understand?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good. Follow me." Their footsteps echoed as they walked. Emma, 2 paces behind. She tried not to stare at the grand staircase, the glass elevator, the massive living room with floor-to-ceiling windows that framed a view of Lake Michigan, gray and churning. "This job is not ordinary housekeeping," Mrs. Klein said. "You will keep to the service corridors and the staff elevator unless otherwise instructed. You will not enter the East Wing without permission." "East Wing," Emma repeated quietly. "What's in the East Wing?" "The family," Mrs. Klein said, "and their personal quarters. You will address Mr. Moretti as Sir, if you ever meet him, which you likely will not. You will address his son as Mr. Adrian. You will avoid looking directly at him unless he speaks to you. You will never, under any circumstances, ask him questions. Is that clear?" Emma almost tripped. I'm not allowed to look at him?" "You're allowed to be invisible," Mrs. Klein said. "It is safer for everyone." Safer. The word snagged on something in Emma's chest. She thought of Lily's last scan, the way the doctor's lips had pressed into a thin line. "We need more aggressive treatment. We need more money. We need. When do I get paid?" Emma asked, keeping her voice low. "End of each week. Cash. As agreed." "And the health insurance?" Mrs. Klein's mouth softened a fraction. "If you last more than a month, the boss will consider helping with personal expenses. He's not as cold as he seems. Just cautious." "Cautious, right." Emma bit back the things she wanted to say about men who lived in glass prisons above a city bleeding from 1,000 invisible cuts. She needed the money. She didn't need to be right. As they walked past a series of black and white photographs, one caught her eye. A man in his late 40s, sharp jaw, dark hair sprinkled with gray, eyes like polished stone. He stood in front of a skyscraper bearing his name, Moretti Global. He looks like a movie villain, Emma murmured, before she could stop herself. Mrs. Klein stopped so abruptly, Emma almost crashed into her. "If anyone hears you say that, you're done," she said quietly. "There are ears everywhere in this house. Do you understand who Mr. Placenite Moretti is?" "A billionaire," Emma said. "Owner of half the city, according to Google. And other things Google does not say." Mrs. Klein's eyes flicked toward a small black dome in the ceiling, a camera. "He is a businessman. He is a father. That is all you need to know. A businessman." Emma had grown up on the South Side. She knew the difference between a businessman and a man whose business was fear. Still, she nodded. Understood. They descended a narrow staircase into a different world. Concrete floors, warm fluorescent lights, the hum of industrial washers and dryers, staff voices mixed with the clatter of dishes and the hiss of steam. "This is where you live when you're not working," Mrs. Klein said. "You share a room with 2 others. They work nights. You work days. You keep your things in your assigned locker. You eat at 6 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m. If you're late, you don't eat." Emma's stomach grumbled in protest. "Questions?" Mrs. Klein asked. Emma wanted to ask 100 things. What kind of man needs a house this big? Why can't anyone look at his son? What kind of fear turns windows into walls? Instead, she asked the only one that mattered. "What do you need me to do first?" Mrs. Klein studied her face, as if weighing something heavy and invisible. "You clean the guest rooms on the west wing. Strip the beds, scrub the bathrooms, dust everything you can see and everything you can't. Keep your head down. And if you hear raised voices in the east wing, you go the other way. Understand?" "Yes." "And Emma?" She looked up. "Yes, ma'am? If you want to last here, you'll learn something quickly." Mrs. Klein's voice softened. "In this house, curiosity is a luxury no one can afford." On the other side of the mansion, behind a locked door in the east wing, Adrian Moretti woke to the sound of his own breath. He lay still, staring at the ceiling, watching the light from the lake bend through the glass. For a few seconds, he could almost pretend he was in some luxury hotel, the kind he used to see in magazines when he was a kid. Then the pain behind his left ear pulsed, hot and bright, dragging him back. He lifted a hand and touched his hairline. The skin there was tender, swollen. He could feel the outline of the stitches, the dried blood against his scalp. "Good morning, Prince," he muttered to himself. Voice raspy. Another perfect day in paradise. Adrian rolled out of bed, bare feet hitting the heated floor. A tray sat on the small table by the window. Protein shake. Vitamins. A note in neat handwriting. "Take all of these. Dr. Leone will check levels tomorrow." His father's doctor. His father's handwriting. His father's rules. He ignored the vitamins and walked to the mirror instead. Dark eyes stared back at him from a pale face that hadn't seen the sun in weeks. Shadows smudged his skin. His black hair, usually cut clean and sharp, was longer now, messy, half covering his ears. He turned his head and lifted the hair above his left ear. He winced. The stitches were ugly, black lines sewn into angry red flesh. Around them, the hair was matted, clumped together. Dry blood. Dried something else. He dropped the hair back down quickly, stomach twisting. "You're fine," he told himself. "You're alive. Could have been worse." He could still hear the echo of his father's voice from that night. The slam of the car. The small burst of light behind his eyes as his head hit the door. "It was an accident," his father had said calmly. Later, as the doctor stitched him up. These streets are dangerous. That's why you shouldn't have been out there alone. Adrian had tasted copper in his mouth and said nothing. He knew better than to argue with a man who owned half of Chicago and the fear of the other half. There was a knock at his door. A polite, precise rhythm. He flinched anyway. "Yeah?" he called. "It's Mrs. Klein, Mr. Adrian," came the muffled reply. "Breakfast and your schedule." He unlocked the door and opened it just enough to see her. She held a folder and another tray. The smell of real food drifting in. Eggs, bacon, toast. His stomach tightened with hunger. Behind her, a young woman hovered, balancing a stack of fresh towels and linens. Wide brown eyes, nervous mouth, curls escaping a messy bun. For a moment, their gazes met. She looked away so fast it almost hurt. "This is Emma," Mrs. Klein said. "New day maid. She'll be working the West Wing." Adrian's hand tightened on the door handle. "Then why is she in the East Wing?" he asked. Mrs. Klein's shoulders shifted, the smallest shrug. "We were passing by. I thought it polite to introduce her, in case you see her in the hallways." "Hi," Emma said softly, eyes fixed somewhere near his shoulder. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Adrian." Her voice was warmer than the entire house. He tried not to notice. "Sure," he said, leaning on the doorframe to hide the ache in his head. "Welcome to the cage." Mrs. Klein shot him a warning look. "Mr. Adrian," she chided. "What?" He lifted his hands in mock surrender. "Just being hospitable." Emma's lips twitched, like she was fighting a smile. Then she hid it again, dropping her gaze to the towels. "I'll, get back to work," she said. "Have a good morning." She turned to go, the scent of cheap jasmine shampoo curling in the air between them. For some reason, he watched her walk away until she disappeared around the corner. "Your schedule," Mrs. Klein said firmly, bringing his attention back to the folder. "You have physio at 10, tutoring at 2, and your father requested dinner at 7. I suggest you eat something now." He took the folder, eyes flicking to the tray. "Is he coming up?" he asked. "No," she said. "You're going down." Adrian's chest tightened. He glanced toward the window, toward the slice of gray sky above the lake. "I don't," he stopped. "In this house, there were things you didn't say, and things you didn't admit, even to yourself." "Mr. Adrian," Mrs. Klein said quietly. "The sooner you go down, the sooner it's over." He nodded once. "Fine." As she walked away, he caught a glimpse of that new girl again through the cracked door, her hands moving quickly as she stripped a bed down the hall, humming under her breath. Unexpectedly, something in his chest shifted. A small, strange sensation, like the first breath after being underwater too long. New staff came and went. Some lasted weeks, some days. He wondered how long she would survive this house. By noon, Emma's arms ached and her back throbbed. But at least the work was familiar. Strip sheets, check mattresses, scrub tiles until they squeaked. Dust picture frames of people who would never know her name. Still, the East Wing replayed in her mind. The locked doors, the quiet halls, the boy no, the man behind that door. He couldn't be more than 23, 24. Dark eyes, guarded, but sharp. The way he'd said, "cage," not even trying to hide it. Why would a billionaire's son feel trapped? Why did he look like sleep was a rumor he'd heard about but never experienced? She shook herself and focused on the bathroom she was scrubbing. Curiosity is a luxury, she reminded herself. You can't afford it. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She froze, then checked the screen quickly. A photo from Lily, grinning from her hospital bed, holding up a foam cup with a crooked thumbs up. Still alive, still fighting. Emma's throat tightened. She snapped a quick picture of the window, just gray sky and a slice of lake, and sent it back. Almost by the water today. Tell you about it later. There's a pocket. Carter, Emma jumped. Mrs. Klein stood in the doorway. Arms folded. Yes, ma'am? Put that away, she said. Phones stay in lockers unless it's an emergency. Right now, we have a different kind of emergency. Emma's heart skipped. What happened? The barber cancelled. Mr. Adrian's hair hasn't been cut since the incident. Mrs. Klein's eyes flicked briefly toward the east wing. We can't bring in a new person on short notice. Too many background checks. Too many questions. Emma blinked. You finished with this floor? Yes, ma'am. Good. You're coming with me. For what? Mrs. Klein's jaw tightened. To help me with something we should have done weeks ago. Emma wiped her hands on her apron, pulse beginning to climb. Whatever this was, it wasn't in the job description. Is it safe? She asked quietly. Mrs. Klein looked at her for a long moment. In this house, she said, nothing is truly safe. But someone has to do it. She turned toward the east wing. Emma followed. Quick check-in for you. Based on what you've seen so far, do you think Emma should stay in this house? Or quit while she still can? Drop your thoughts in the comments, then let's see what she walks into next. The closer they walked to the east wing, the quieter the house became. On the west side, Emma had grown used to the sounds of staff, the whir of vacuums, muted chatter, the clack of dishes. Here, every sound felt muffled, like someone had draped heavy blankets over the halls. Motion sensors clicked softly as they passed. Cameras tracked them with almost human curiosity. Keep your eyes forward, Mrs. Klein murmured. Staff don't gawk at this end. I'm not gawking, Emma said. I'm just trying not to trip. Try harder. They stopped outside a familiar door. The one from that morning. Mrs. Klein knocked in that same precise rhythm. Yeah, Adrian's voice called. Come in. The door opened. Emma forced her shoulders to relax, reminded herself to breathe. Adrian sat in a low armchair by the window this time. One leg bent, the other stretched out. He wore a black t-shirt and joggers, but the way he held himself made it look like a suit. There was an edge to him, even slouched. A tension, a readiness to spring. For a strange moment, he looked younger than he had in the doorway. Barefoot, hair messy, eyes tired. Then he saw Emma behind Mrs. Klein, and something shuddered behind his gaze. What's this? He asked. You hiring groupies now, Mrs. K? She's the new maid, Mrs. Klein said crisply. And today, she's your barber's assistant. My what? The barber canceled, she said. You know the security protocols. We can't just bring anyone in. Your father wants you presentable for dinner. Adrian's jaw flexed. So, you're going to cut my hair now? I can trim it, she said. But it needs cleaning first. Properly. The area around your stitches hasn't been taken care of in some time. His hand drifted, unconsciously, toward his left ear. I rinse it in the shower. That is not the same as cleaning it, she said. Infection would be unfortunate. He snorted. That's one word for it. Mrs. Klein turned to Emma. There are gloves and saline in the bathroom cabinet. Towels under the sink. We'll set up by the vanity. I'll handle the scissors. You handle the wash. Me? Emma's voice came out higher than she wanted. You've washed hair before, I assume, Mrs. Klein said. You have hands. Use them. Adrian watched them, eyes narrowing slightly. Emma swallowed and nodded. Yes, ma'am. She ducked into the bathroom. It wasn't the marble cathedral she'd expected, just a sleek, modern space. Black stone vanity, rain shower, mirror with hidden lights glowing soft white. It still probably cost more than her childhood apartment. She found the gloves, saline, a clean white towel. Her hands shook just enough to make the box rattle. It's just hair, she told herself. People have heads, heads have hair. You're doing this for Lily. When she came back out, Mrs. Klein had pulled a chair over near the vanity and plugged in a slim pair of clippers. Adrian stood by the window, staring at the lake like it was the only thing holding him here. Sit, Mrs. Klein said. He hesitated. You were never this difficult when you were 8, she added. That's because when I was 8, I still thought I'd get out of here someday, he muttered. But he moved to the chair anyway. He sat down slowly, stiffly. For the first time, Emma noticed the way he lowered himself. Careful with his left side, like something there still hurt. She snapped the gloves on. The sound of latex stretching felt too loud in the quiet room. Mr. Adrian, she said, forcing her voice steady. I'm just going to, wet your hair, okay? Go for it. He leaned back a little, eyes meeting hers in the mirror. You're the boss. She huffed a tiny laugh. Pretty sure that's the first time anyone said that to me in this house. He tilted his head, studying her reflection. You're new. Mrs. Klein shot him a look. Enough dramatics. Emma, start with the saline around his stitches. Be gentle. Emma stepped closer until she could smell him. Soap, something clean and sharp underneath it, and a faint chemical tang that reminded her of hospital disinfectant. Her heartbeat picked up, loud in her ears. She poured a little saline into a bowl, dipped a corner of the towel, and carefully lifted a section of his hair over his left ear. He flinched before she even touched him. Sorry, she whispered. Did I hurt you? No. His voice was tight. Just do what you have to do. Up close, the wound looked worse. The stitches were jagged, pulling the skin into angry ridges. The hair around them was clumped with dried blood, flaking when she brushed it, revealing crusted patches underneath. The skin was swollen and discolored, angry purples and yellows blooming under the strands. Jesus, she breathed, before she could catch herself. He went rigid. That bad, huh? It's not, she cleared her throat. The towel's going to be cold. Sorry. She pressed the damp cloth gently to his scalp, wiping away layers of dried blood. He hissed softly through his teeth. Sorry, she said again. Stop apologizing, he muttered. I'm not going to break. But his grip on the armrests said otherwise. His knuckles had gone white. Emma worked slowly, careful not to pull at the stitches. The more she cleaned, the more of the wound she could see. A long, curved gash, like something had been carved into him. How did this happen? She asked before she could stop herself. Mrs. Klein's voice snapped across the room like a whip. Emma, car accident, Adrian said flatly, eyes still on his reflection. Wrong place, wrong time. His tone made it clear that was the official story. It also made it clear he didn't believe it. Emma nodded, even though nobody had asked her to. She lifted another section of hair, working the towel gently underneath. Her fingers brushed something hard. Not bone. Not scab. Metal. She froze. There was something small and rigid under the hair, just at the edge of the stitches. Her gloved fingertips traced it. A tiny square, smooth and unnatural against skin. Hold still, she murmured. What? His eyes flicked to hers in the mirror. Did you find a brain in there? Cute, she said, trying to keep her voice light. You wish. She tugged the hair aside more firmly, heart pounding now. Under the clumped strands, nestled just at the edge of the wound, was a small black rectangle, no bigger than her pinky nail. Thin metal wires disappeared under the inflamed skin, stitched in alongside the surgical thread like someone had sewn it to him. Her stomach rolled. What is that? She whispered. Mrs. Klein looked up from the counter. What is what? Emma stepped back so Mrs. Klein could see. Her hand shook as she held the hair aside. For a heartbeat, Mrs. Klein said nothing. Then, very quietly, she swore under her breath in German. Adrian's eyes darted between their faces. Okay? Seriously, what are we doing? Is my head going to explode? Someone tell me something. Emma swallowed. There's something in your hair, under the skin, like a chip or something. A chip? His laugh was short, disbelieving. Like a dog? No, she said quickly. I mean like a tiny black thing with wires. His smile died. Mrs. Klein, he said, voice suddenly much quieter. What is she talking about? Mrs. Klein stepped closer, her shoulders stiff. She took the towel from Emma and dabbed gingerly. Just once, as if to confirm what she already suspected. Her face went strangely blank. Mrs. K? Adrian pressed, tension creeping into his voice. What did he do? Emma looked between them, confusion sharpening into dread. Who did? She asked. No one answered. Mrs. Klein straightened. Emma, finish cleaning around it. Do not touch the device itself. Do you understand? Device. The word sat wrong in Emma's chest. "Shouldn't a doctor look at this?" she asked. "It's under his skin. It could be infected, or a doctor has seen it." Mrs. Klein's voice was rigid. "It was placed there intentionally." Intentionally? Emma stared at her. Why would anyone intentionally put something in his head? Adrian's eyes flashed. "Yeah, I'd love to hear this part too." Mrs. Klein hesitated. For the first time since Emma had met her, she looked conflicted. "Your father," she said slowly, eyes on the wound, not his face, "believes it is the safest way to ensure your security while you are outside the estate." "My security?" Adrian's laugh was brittle now. "Is that what we're calling it?" Emma's chest tightened. "You mean like a tracker?" Mrs. Klein flinched, just barely. "Finish cleaning," she said again. "Do not pull at the wires. After that, we will cover it properly and trim the hair to hide it better." "Hide it?" Adrian's voice rose. "It's inside my head, Mrs. Klein. How much more hidden can it get?" "Mr. Adrian." "When did he do this?" Adrian demanded. "Because I don't remember consenting to being turned into a GPS signal." "You were unconscious," she said quietly. The room went very still. Emma felt suddenly like she was standing in the middle of something she shouldn't see. A crack in the marble of this house that might swallow her whole. She looked down at Adrian, at the way his hands shook now, fingers digging into the armrests. Something in her softened, then sharpened. She knew what it was like to have decisions made about your body without your permission. She'd watched doctors talk over Lily as if she were a chart, not a person. "Do you want me to keep going?" Emma asked him, gently this time. "I can stop if you want." He met her eyes in the mirror. For a moment, she saw past the sarcasm and anger. She saw fear. She saw humiliation. She saw a young man who, for all his money, had about as much control as a kid locked in a hospital bed. "Can you get the blood off?" he asked. His voice was softer. "It itches all the time. Drives me insane." "Yeah," she said. "I can do that." "Then keep going," he muttered. If it was supposed to scare me into staying in line, congratulations to him. It worked. No point in letting it get infected too. Emma reached for the towel again. Her hands didn't shake this time. She worked around the edges of the wound, careful to avoid the tiny device and its spider-thin wires. Every so often, he winced, but he didn't pull away. He just closed his eyes and let her clean the mess someone else had left under his hair. "Of all the things to find up there," he said after a while, forcing a weak chuckle, "you had to find the horror movie prop." "It's not a prop," she said quietly. "It's your head. Thanks for the reminder." She hesitated, then added, "For what it's worth, you don't deserve this." His eyes flicked open. "You don't even know me." She met his gaze in the mirror. "I know control when I see it, and I know fear." Something flickered in his expression. There and gone so fast she almost missed it. He swallowed. "You should probably forget you saw that thing. My father doesn't like people knowing his methods." "I'm not people," she said. "I'm staff. Remember?" "Not invisible," he said before he could stop himself. The word hung between them. Mrs. Klein pretended not to hear. Or maybe she heard everything and simply filed it away under things that would complicate the household. Emma finished cleaning and wrapped a clean band around the base of the wound, carefully tucking the hair back over it. From the outside, it now just looked like a bad cut, healing slowly. The device was hidden again, a secret under skin and hair. "Done," she said softly. He reached up, fingertips grazing the bandage. "Feels better," he admitted reluctantly. "Good," she said. "Maybe you'll sleep now." He snorted. "Sleep is for people who aren't walking QR codes." She smiled despite herself. Mrs. Klein cleared her throat. "Emma, pack up. I'll handle the trim." Emma nodded, gathering the bowl. The leftover saline, the stained towel. She could feel Adrian's eyes on her as she moved. At the doorway, curiosity tugged at her again, hard. She turned back. "Mr. Adrian? Yeah? You know he did that because he's afraid of losing you, right?" she said quietly. His eyes searched hers for a long moment. "What's your name again?" he asked. "Emma." "Emma what?" "Carter." "Emma Carter," he repeated, like he was trying it on. "You talk too much for a maid." She smiled faintly. "Then fire me." The corner of his mouth lifted. "Just a little." "Not yet." She left before he could see the way that tiny, crooked half-smile lodged itself somewhere dangerous under her ribs. Out in the hallway, the door closed softly behind her. Emma leaned against the wall for a second, breathing hard. She'd come here to clean rooms and collect a paycheck for her sister's treatment. Instead, she'd just discovered that the billionaire's son was walking around with a tracking device stitched into his skull by his own father. This house wasn't a glass prison. It was a cage wired with secrets. And now, whether she liked it or not, she was holding one of them. Emma didn't realize her hands were shaking until she dropped the bowl in the staff sink. Water splashed her apron, the clatter echoing off the concrete walls of the basement kitchen. A couple of line cooks glanced over, then went back to chopping vegetables and stirring stainless steel pots like nothing in the world could surprise them anymore. She braced her palms on the counter and bowed her head. There is a chip in his head. Someone had stitched a piece of metal into Adrian Moretti's skull like he was a stolen car. "Emma." Mrs. Klein's voice landed behind her, cool as ever. Emma straightened so fast her back twinged. "Sorry. I'll clean it up. It's fine, Mrs." Klein took the bowl from the sink and set it aside. "We need to talk." Those 4 words, in this house, felt like a verdict. Emma followed her into the narrow staff corridor just beyond the kitchen. It smelled like detergent and canned tomatoes. A fluorescent bulb flickered overhead, humming faintly. Mrs. Klein closed the door behind them. For a moment, neither spoke. Emma could hear her own heartbeat. "Whatever you think you saw," Mrs. Klein said quietly, "you will not speak of it to anyone. Not the other staff. Not your family. Not anyone. Do you understand?" Emma stared at her. "You're serious." "This isn't a game, Emma." "That was a tracking device," Emma said, anger finally catching up to fear. "In his head. He didn't know." "How is that even legal?" Mrs. Klein's mouth tightened. "You think the law reaches everyone equally? His father did that to him." Emma's voice rose. "You're telling me that's okay?" "I am telling you it's done," Mrs. Klein said. "And talking about it will not undo it. It will only get you hurt." Emma laughed once, humorless. "What is he going to do? Track me next?" Mrs. Klein's gaze sharpened. "Do you have anyone who would miss you if you disappeared, Miss Carter?" The question sliced through Emma's bravado. Lily's face leapt into her mind. Lily, in that too big hospital gown, asking if Emma would be there when she woke up from surgery. Emma's throat closed. "That is what I thought," Mrs. Klein said, more softly. "People who work here tend to have few options. That's why they stay. That, and the money." "The money isn't worth this," Emma whispered. "Isn't it?" Mrs. Klein studied her. "How much is your sister's next round of treatment?" Emma flinched. "How did you listed her as your emergency contact," Mrs. Klein said. "We run background checks. Your file says she's at St. Mary's, pediatric oncology. Insurance denied the latest protocol." Emma's stomach dropped. "You read my file." "I manage this house," Mrs. Klein said simply. "I need to know what motivates the people inside it. That's my job. So you know I can't just walk away," Emma said bitterly. "I know you don't want to," Mrs. Klein replied. "Not if there's any chance of help." Emma's laugh was raw. "You think the man who put a chip in his own kid's head is going to help my sister out of kindness?" "No," Mrs. Klein said. "I think he might help, if it keeps his son's life orderly." "Orderly," Emma repeated. "That's what we're calling it." "Emma," Mrs. Klein said quietly, "I have worked for this family since Adrian was born. I have seen things I cannot unsee. But I have also seen this. When Mr. Moretti invests in someone, he takes care of his investments. Like property," Emma said. "Like assets," Mrs. Klein corrected. It isn't kindness. It's practicality. If you stay, if you do your job, if you keep your mouth shut and your eyes open only when necessary, he may decide you are useful. Useful people in this house are rarely left to drown. And if I don't stay, Mrs. Klein's gaze didn't waver. Then you leave with nothing but what you came with. And someone else will take your place. And your sister's file will be one more folder in a cabinet he never sees. The corridor felt smaller suddenly, the air thinner. Emma pressed her tongue to the back of her teeth so she wouldn't say something she'd regret. This isn't right, she said hoarsely. No, Mrs. Klein agreed. It isn't. But right and real are not the same thing. Silence settled between them, thick as steam. Does he know? Emma asked finally. Mr. Moretti. That Adrian didn't know about the device? He knows everything, Mrs. Klein said, including what you saw today. Emma's chest tightened. How could he know already? Cameras, Mrs. Klein said. Emma thought of the small black domes on the ceiling, the ones she'd tried not to look at. So he's probably watching this conversation, she said. Yes, Mrs. Klein said. Which is why I am going to say, very clearly, I instructed you to forget what you saw. I instructed you that his medical care is not your concern. Your only concern is doing your job, collecting your pay, and staying out of trouble. You agreed. Do you understand? The words were deliberate, shaped for an invisible audience. Emma swallowed the instinct to argue. I understand, she said. Good. Mrs. Klein's shoulders relaxed a fraction. Now, go upstairs. The guest rooms won't clean themselves. Emma walked away on autopilot, her head buzzing. Forget what you saw. She could forget the details. Maybe. The gleam of metal, the angry red skin. But she couldn't forget the look in Adrian's eyes when he realized what his father had done. She recognized that look. She'd seen it on Lily's face the day the doctor said stage 4 and her mother just left. Abandoned by the people who were supposed to protect you. Some wounds couldn't be sterilized with saline. Upstairs, the mansion gleamed as always. Emma stripped beds, folded towels, arranged expensive shampoos in perfect rows. On the surface, she moved with the same careful efficiency as any other maid. Inside, a war raged. She should quit. She should pack her bag, walk down that long driveway, and never look back. No money was worth getting pulled into whatever twisted version of parenting billionaire mafia men practiced. But every time she pictured that, she also pictured the bill from Street Mary's. The one with more zeros than her entire bank account. Hey, Em, you alive? The voice jolted her. She looked up to see Rosa in the doorway, balancing a basket of laundry on one hip. Rosa was in her late 30s, with warm eyes and a laugh that had gotten Emma through her first lonely lunch break. Yeah, Emma said quickly, just tired. Rosa set the basket down. First week is always rough. You get used to it. Do you? Emma asked before she could stop herself. Rosa tilted her head. What's wrong? Emma opened her mouth. The words crowded her throat. There's a chip in his head. His father did it. This whole house is wired. She closed her mouth again. Nothing, she said. Just a lot of stares. Rosa studied her for a beat, like she could see all the unsaid words. Listen, Rosa said eventually, lowering her voice. You seem like a good person, so let me give you the one piece of advice no one gave me when I started. Emma glanced at the ceiling, at the invisible cameras. Is it safe to... Shh. Rosa stepped closer, pretending to adjust the pillows. The walls here have ears. Yeah. That's why you learn to talk through other things. She smoothed the duvet. You see something that makes you feel wrong? You pray. You keep your head down. You remember why you came. I came for a paycheck, Emma said. Rosa smiled sadly. Nobody comes here just for a paycheck. They come for a sick kid, a sick parent, a debt, a dream. Tell me I'm wrong. Emma looked away. You're not wrong, she murmured. Then hold on to that, Rosa said. Because it's the only thing that will keep you from doing something stupid. Like what? Like caring too much about people who live on the other side of the house. Emma's chest tightened. You don't care about them? I didn't say that, Rosa said. I said it's dangerous to. She picked up the laundry basket again. Anyway, she added with forced cheer, if you ever need to cry, do it in the linen closet. Cameras don't see the corner by the extra duvets. She winked, then left. Emma stood there, a pillow clutched in her hands, feeling like someone had just handed her a rule book written in invisible ink. Don't care, don't look, don't speak. She fluffed the pillow and placed it at the head of the bed, perfect and unwrinkled. Then she whispered, so softly, no microphone could ever pick it up. I can't promise that. In the East Wing, Adrian stared at the bandage in the mirror and tried to make himself not care either. The skin around the wound still hurt, but in a cleaner way now, not the itchy, infected throb from before. Emma's hands had been careful, almost gentle, like she was touching something valuable instead of a problem to be solved. He hated that he noticed that. He hated even more that he couldn't stop replaying the way she'd said, you don't deserve this. No one had talked like that around him in a long time. People in his life tended to fall into three categories: terrified, obedient, or transactional. None of them told him what he deserved. He splashed cold water on his face and forced the memory away. This is fine, he told his reflection. You've lived with worse. Had he? His father's voice echoed in his head. Security is an illusion, son. Control is real. He dragged a hand through his hair and winced when his fingers brushed the bandage. A knock sounded at the door, sharp and certain. He stiffened. Yeah? The door opened without waiting for his permission. Vincenzo Moretti didn't need permission in any room he walked into. He filled the doorway in a charcoal suit, the kind of fabric that quietly told you how expensive it was. Salt and pepper hair, freshly barbered, cufflinks catching light, eyes like cold river stones. He looked at the bandage first, then at his son. Let me see, he said. Adrian forced himself not to flinch as his father stepped closer. The room that felt large with Emma in it felt suddenly too small. It's fine, Adrian said. Mrs. K cleaned it up. Apparently, your little science project was getting crusty. His father's jaw ticked once. You're welcome. For what? Adrian snapped. For chipping me like a lab rat? Watch your tone, Vincenzo said mildly. My tone? Adrian laughed, the sound scraping his own ears. You drilled something into my skull, without my consent, and you're worried about my tone? Vincenzo's gaze sharpened, a scalpel's edge. You think I did this to hurt you? I think you did it to control me, Adrian shot back. Same thing. I did it to keep you alive, his father said. The last time you insisted on independence, someone took a shot at you 6 blocks from this house. Adrian's hand curled unconsciously around the arm of the chair. That was about you, not me. You are me, his father said quietly. You are my blood, my name, my weakness. Anyone who wants to hurt me will go through you. Then maybe, Adrian said, voice shaking. You should have thought about that before you decided to build an empire on people's fear. For a heartbeat, something like regret flickered in Vincenzo's eyes. Then it was gone. Empires are built on worse things than fear, he said. You'll understand that when you're older. I'm 24, not 12. You're still here, inside this house, afraid to cross the gate, his father replied. You're still allowing other people's choices to define you. That is not a man, Adrian. That is a boy, waiting to be told what to do. The words stung more than Adrian wanted to admit. Is this the part where you tell me what to do? He asked tightly. His father's gaze slid back to the bandage. You will attend dinner tonight, he said. You will be polite. You will not mention the device. You will not mention staff conversations. You will not make this more complicated than it needs to be. So you know, Adrian said. About the maid. About what she saw. I know everything that happens under my roof. She didn't do anything wrong, Adrian said quickly. She just cleaned up your mess. Careful, Vincenzo said. You're starting to sound like you care what happens to her. Adrian set his jaw. I care that you don't blame her for your decisions. My decisions, his father said, stepping closer, are the reason you are breathing. The reason you will inherit everything you see. The reason your mother rests in a grave instead of you. The last sentence dropped between them like a stone. Adrian went still. His mother's death was one of those topics that lived in a locked drawer between them, pulled out only when his father wanted to win an argument. Don't do that, Adrian said softly. Vincenzo's voice cooled. Then don't question the measures I take to keep you safe. They stared at each other, two versions of the same man, separated by decades and choices. Finally, Vincenzo stepped back. Stay away from the staff, he said. They are not your friends. They work here because they need what I can give them. Nothing more. He straightened his cuffs. And Adrian? What? Don't mistake surveillance for a cage, his father said. The world outside this house would happily put you in a real one. He left without waiting for a reply. The door clicked shut. The silence roared. Adrian sank back into the chair, shaking. Surveillance. Not a cage. He looked at his reflection, at the bandage hiding the thing under his skin. He'd spent years telling himself the house was the cage, the walls, the guards. Now, he knew better. The cage was inside him. And the worst part? For the first time since he was a teenager, he had met someone, some nobody maid with tired eyes and jasmine shampoo, who made him feel like maybe he wasn't completely alone in it. He should ignore that. He should push her out of his head the same way he'd tried to push out everything else. He closed his eyes. He saw her anyway. That night, Emma moved silently through the west corridor, pushing the cleaning cart like a shield. Dinner service was in full swing downstairs. The kitchen buzzed like a hive. Staff moved in, practiced choreography, sending up plates of food, so beautiful Emma felt bad for whoever had to eat them. She should have been in the basement, taking her 30 minutes to shovel in whatever was left over. Instead, she was here, because Mrs. Klein had assigned her to post-dinner touch-ups on the second floor. Less crowded than the basement, Mrs. Klein had said, and farther from certain conversations. Emma hadn't asked what that meant. She was passing the top of the grand staircase when voices floated up, sharper than the clink of silverware. Not a child anymore, Vincenzo. I'm not discussing this at the table. You can't keep him locked up like some. A chair scraped hard, glass rattled. Emma froze, hand on the banister. The voices grew louder, closer. She ducked back into the shadow of a decorative alcove, just as two figures appeared at the bottom of the stairs. Vincenzo and Adrian. Not about what you're comfortable with, Vincenzo was saying. It's about what keeps this family alive. What keeps this family alive is people being too afraid to say your name out loud. Adrian shot back. Mission accomplished. You don't need me chipped like an AirTag for that. Lower your voice, his father said. Why? Adrian said louder. Afraid the staff will hear that you turned your son into a walking tracking device? Emma's chest clenched. She knew she should move, get out of sight, but her feet wouldn't listen. Vincenzo's gaze cut up the stairs, sharp as a blade. From the alcove, Emma could see his eyes scanning the landing, every shadow. She curled herself tighter against the carved column, willing herself to be part of the wall. After a tense beat, his gaze moved on. This conversation is over, he said. You will not speak to me in that tone again. Or what? Adrian demanded. You'll upgrade me to the premium surveillance package? Enough. The word cracked like a gunshot. Adrian flinched. For a heartbeat, his face was completely unguarded. Hurt and fury tangled together. Then, the mask slammed back into place. Perfect, he said. Enjoy your dinner. He spun around and took the stairs 2 at a time, moving with more energy than his body seemed to have. Emma had 1 second to decide. Run the other way. Or stay. She stayed. He reached the landing and almost crashed into her. Whoa, Emma blurted. He stopped short, gripping the banister. For a second, his balance wavered. She grabbed his arm on instinct. His skin was warm, muscle tense under her fingers. You okay? She asked. He blinked, like he hadn't expected anyone there. Thought this hallway was staff-free during dinner. Guess I missed that memo, she said. He glanced past her, toward the shadows she'd been hiding in. "Did you hear?" "Nothing," she said quickly. "Just footsteps. And a few creative metaphors about AirTags." The corner of his mouth twitched despite everything. "You shouldn't be up here," he said. "It's not safe." "For me or for you?" she asked. "Both," he admitted. He pulled his arm gently out of her grip. For a moment, her hand remained suspended in the air, fingers curled around nothing. "You going to yell at me for caring?" she asked softly. He sighed. "I'm going to tell you what I wish someone had told me a long time ago." "What's that?" "Don't stick around people who think owning you is the same as loving you." The words landed between them, heavier than any cleaning cart. Emma's throat burned. "Some of us don't have the luxury of choosing who owns what," she said. He studied her, really studied her. "What's keeping you here, Emma Carter?" She almost told him. About Lily. About the hospital bills. About sitting in parking lots, counting tips, and feeling like the world was a locked door she didn't have the key for. Instead, she gave him the safe version. "Rent," she said. "And the fact that your dad pays enough to keep my life from collapsing for at least another month." He huffed a quiet laugh that didn't reach his eyes. "Honest answer," he said. "Rare around here." "I'm new," she said. "Give it time. I'll learn to lie with the best of them." "Do yourself a favor," he said. "Don't." Footsteps echoed from below. Staff voices. The spell broke. He stepped back, the distance between them growing again. "You should go," he said. "Before someone sees you talking to me." "There's cameras everywhere," she pointed out. "They already saw." "Then don't give them more material," he said. He turned, heading toward the east wing. "Adrian," she blurted. He paused. She winced at herself. She wasn't supposed to use his first name like that. "Mr. Adrian," she corrected. If it ever gets too much, and you just need someone to make sure your head doesn't fall off. I'm usually on the west side." His shoulders tensed. He didn't look back. "Careful, Emma Carter," he said. "You keep talking like that, and this place will chew you up." He disappeared around the corner. She watched the empty hallway for a long moment, heart pounding. Then she pushed her cart in the opposite direction, telling herself she was walking away, when really, every step pulled her deeper in. The next morning, Emma woke to the kind of sound that didn't belong in a billionaire's mansion. Panic. It seeped through the vents and walls in pieces. Hurried footsteps over marble, clipped voices on radios, the distant slam of a door. Even buried in the basement staff quarters, she could feel the shift in the building, like the whole house had sucked in a breath and forgotten how to let it out. Rosa swung down from the top bunk, already in her uniform. "Get up," she said briskly. "Something's going on." Emma blinked at the digital clock. 5:42 a.m. "What kind of something?" she asked, pushing herself up on her elbows. "The kind that makes all the guards look like they swallowed a gun," Rosa said. "Move." 10 minutes later, Emma stepped into the service corridor and walked straight into a wall of tension. Security men in dark suits clustered around the doors to the east wing, murmuring into earpieces. Mrs. Klein stood near them, holding a tablet, her mouth a hard line. The usual morning sounds, the soft clink of dishes, the low hum of staff chatter, were replaced by a strained quiet. Emma pushed her cleaning cart forward, trying to look like she belonged. "What happened?" she asked. A passing dishwasher in a whisper. He shrugged, eyes wide. "No idea. They said all external gates are on lockdown. Nobody in or out." "Lockdown?" she repeated. The word lodged in her throat. "Lily. If the hospital called and she couldn't leave." "Emma." Mrs. Klein's voice sliced through her thoughts. Emma straightened. "Yes, ma'am? Come with me, Mrs." Klein didn't slow down as she spoke. She was already moving down the corridor toward the east wing. "Leave the cart." Emma abandoned the cart like it was on fire and hurried after her. "What's going on?" she asked, matching her pace. "We had an incident," Mrs. Klein said. "Overnight, someone breached the outer perimeter near the south wall. Cameras caught movement. They didn't make it to the house, but Mr. Moretti has initiated internal protocols." "Protocols like?" "Lockdown," Mrs. Klein said simply. "Minimal staff on each floor, All movements logged. Essential personnel only in the East Wing. Why me? Emma blurted. Mrs. Klein gave her a sideways look. Because, Miss Carter, as of this morning, you have been reassigned. Emma's stomach tightened. To Mr. Adrian, Mrs. Klein said. Daytime only. Personal confinement assistant. Personal. What? Your primary duties will be to handle his room, meals, basic needs, and any tasks I delegate, Mrs. Klein said. He is not to be left alone outside his quarters during lockdown unless accompanied by security and either myself or you. You will be logged as his daytime staff. That sounds like a lot of proximity, Emma said carefully. That is the point, Mrs. Klein replied. Emma's mind raced. Does he know about this? Not yet, she said. You'll be there when he finds out. They passed through the secure door into the East Wing. One of the guards scanned their badges. The small reader flashing green. Emma's heart thumped harder with each step. Why me? She asked again, softer now. There are other staff who've worked here longer. Because he doesn't flinch when you walk into a room, Mrs. Klein said. Because he let you touch his head without putting a hole through the wall. Because, like it or not, he's already decided you're tolerable. Is this his idea or his father's? Emma asked. Both, Mrs. Klein said. Different reasons. They stopped in front of Adrian's door. Mrs. Klein knocked once and opened it without waiting. Inside, the curtains were still drawn. The room lay in dim gray, half-light, shadows stretching across the floor. Adrian sat on the edge of the bed, elbows on his knees, fingers threaded through his hair. His head snapped up as they entered. What now? He demanded. Good morning to you too, Mrs. Klein said dryly. We've had a breach. The house is on lockdown. Until further notice, your movements are restricted to this floor and the gym. No outside visits. No trips off property. He laughed sharply. You say that like I ever get to go anywhere. This is more restrictive than usual, she said. So, what? I'm grounded from being grounded, he muttered. Additionally, she continued, ignoring him, your father has requested a dedicated day staff member during lockdown to avoid unnecessary contact with rotating personnel. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Let me guess. Another one of his guys with a gun and a neck the size of a small tree? No, she said. It's Emma. His gaze flicked to her, a flash of something she couldn't read. You're kidding, he said. I don't joke about staffing assignments, Mrs. Klein replied. She'll handle your daily needs, keep the place in order, and act as a point of contact during the day. You'll see less of everyone else. Who decided that? He asked. Your father, she said, with my input. Adrian stared at Emma. So, I get a personal maid now, he said slowly. Like a babysitter? I'm not babysitting you, Emma said, before she could stop herself. That's not up to you, he shot back. You're here because he wants eyes on me. Technically, Emma said. I'm also here because someone tried to break in, and apparently I'm less scary than a guard with a gun. His lips twitched. She has a point, Mrs. Klein murmured. Adrian rubbed his jaw, looking between them. Why her? He asked again. But the fight had faded from his voice. There was something else there now, wariness, maybe. Or curiosity. Because you already let her see you vulnerable, Mrs. Klein said quietly. And you didn't implode. He rolled his eyes. You make me sound like a bomb. Sometimes, she said. You are. He snorted. Emma shifted her weight, suddenly too aware of every inch of space between them. If you don't want me here, she said, I can ask Mrs. K to put me back with the guest rooms. Both of them looked at her like she'd suggested jumping out the window. No, they said at the same time. They glanced at each other, then away. You will stay, Mrs. Klein said firmly. At least until lockdown is lifted. This is not optional. Emma folded her arms. What exactly does personal confinement assistant entail, besides, the FBI-level job title? You'll bring his meals from the kitchen. Make sure he doesn't miss his physio sessions. Keep the space clean. Coordinate with security if he needs to move to another room. If there are any issues with his wound, you contact me immediately. And what does he do? Emma asked, nodding toward Adrian. I exist, Adrian said. Apparently that requires supervision, Mrs. Klein gave him a look. You will cooperate. No games. No testing her. If she quits, I will replace her with someone less sympathetic. You mean someone who doesn't mind tasing me if I sneeze wrong, he said. If necessary, she replied. He fell silent. The tension in the room shifted. Not gone, just redirected. I'll send up breakfast, Mrs. Klein said. Emma, stay with him. Familiarize yourself with the space. And remember what we discussed. Emma nodded. Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Klein left. The door clicked shut. Suddenly, it was just the two of them and the quiet hum of the air vents. Adrian leaned back on his hands, exhaling. So, he said, welcome to solitary confinement +1. Emma glanced around. I've seen worse. In Chicago? He asked, brows lifting. In hospital waiting rooms, she said. At least here, the chairs have cushions. He watched her move to the small table, straightening a stack of books more out of nerves than necessity. You don't seem freaked out, he said. Should I be? Most people are when they hear the word breach, followed by lockdown. She shrugged. I grew up in a neighborhood where breach and lockdown were just words teachers used when things went sideways outside. At least here there's more than one exit. Comforting, he said dryly. I was thinking I might clean, she said. Maybe judge your taste in books. He glanced at the shelf. Those were all chosen by my tutor. The only thing that's actually mine is the PlayStation they keep pretending they don't know I have. Hidden contraband in a billionaire's bedroom, she said. Truly living on the edge. He smiled faintly. For a few minutes, they moved around each other in an awkward dance. Emma checked the bathroom for fresh towels, took mental inventory of the room. Adrian pretended not to watch her, and failed. She could feel his gaze like a hand on her shoulder. So, do you like being here? He asked finally. The question sounding like it had to fight its way out. In this room? She asked. Or in this house? Both. In this room, I've been here for 10 minutes, she said. Jury still out. In this house. She thought of the cameras. The chip. The way Rosa had said, don't care. It's complicated. He huffed a quiet laugh. That's one word for it. What word would you use? She asked. Prison, he said. But with really nice sheets. She glanced at his bed. They're Egyptian cotton. I checked the label. Of course you did, he said. You look like the type who reads labels and Googles everything. You say that like an insult, she said. It's not, he replied. It's just accurate. There was a knock at the door. Emma answered it, to find a younger guard with a tray in his hands. He nodded, passed the tray to her, and disappeared without a word. Emma set the breakfast on the table. Scrambled eggs, toast, fruit, coffee. All arranged like a magazine spread. Room service, she said. 5 stars on presentation. Still deciding on the management. He sat at the table but didn't touch the food right away. His eyes flicked to her. You eat yet? He asked. She blinked. Staff eats in the basement. Yeah, I know. But you? Have you eaten? Not yet, she admitted. I got pulled up here before I got my food. He frowned. So you're supposed to watch me eat while you're hungry? That's messed up. Welcome to class divide, she said lightly. We have uniforms and everything. He picked up a piece of toast and tore it in half, then pushed the plate toward her. Here, he said. They always bring more than I finish anyway. She hesitated. I'm not supposed to. Yeah, well, I'm not supposed to offer, he said. Let's both break a rule. She looked at the toast, then at him. Her stomach made the decision for her. Half, she said. No more. That's literally what I gave you, he said. She sat opposite him, took the toast, and bit into it. It tasted like butter, and something she hadn't had in a long time. Ease. They ate in silence for a minute, the clink of cutlery the only sound. You don't owe me anything, she said suddenly. He looked up. Didn't say I did. I mean for yesterday, she said. With the head thing. I didn't help you, so you'd share breakfast. He leaned back. I know. Okay, she said. He watched her for another heartbeat. But you also don't have to pretend it didn't happen. She swallowed. Is that what you're doing? I'm trying, he said. How's that working out? He glanced at the bandage. Terribly. They both laughed softly. The lockdown stretched on. Hours passed in a strange suspended state. Emma wiped down surfaces that were already clean. Adrian flipped through channels, then turned the TV off entirely. Mrs. Klein checked in twice, brisk and efficient, handing Emma a schedule of Adrian's day like she was being given a prisoner's transport orders. At 10, physio. At noon, lunch. At 3, tutoring over encrypted video call. At 6, dinner in room. All within this floor, Mrs. Klein said. Any deviation, you call me. Got it, Emma said. After she left, Emma folded the paper and stuck it in her apron. Is your entire life on a schedule like that? She asked. Yep, he said. I'm basically a very expensive Tamagotchi. A what? She said. He stared at her like she'd grown a second head. Please tell me you know what a Tamagotchi is. I didn't exactly grow up with imported toys, she said. We had a soccer ball and some very imaginative sticks. He grinned. I'll show you later. Physio. First. The joys of rehabbing a concussion you got from your dad's security disaster. That seems fair, she said. He raised a brow. You offering to carry me? I'm offering to make sure you don't faceplant in the hallway, she said. Fine, he said. You can supervise my walking. Very on brand for your new role. They moved down the corridor together. A guard trailed a discreet distance behind, eyes scanning every doorway. Adrian walked slowly at first, like his body was still deciding if it trusted the floor. Emma stayed half a step to his left, close enough to catch him if he stumbled. You don't have to hover, he said. I'm not hovering, she said. I'm existing nearby with purpose. That's the same thing, he said. He stumbled on a subtle rise in the carpet. His hand shot out, catching her forearm. She held steady, bracing against his weight. You okay? She asked. He nodded, jaw clenched. Yeah, just, occasionally, my brain decides gravity is optional. Mine does that when I get off night shifts, she said. Feels like walking through soup. Night shifts where? He asked. She hesitated. You're not the only one with hospital experience. He gave her a look. You were in a hospital? Not me, she said quietly. Someone I love. He didn't push. They reached the physio room, a sleek space with mats, equipment, and a woman in her 40s wearing scrubs and a no-nonsense expression. Mr. Moretti, she said. Miss Carter? Emma blinked. You know my name? I know all the people on my patient's schedule, the woman said. I'm Dr. Hart. Doctor? Emma said. I thought you were. I do both physio and neurological follow-up for Mr. Adrian, Dr. Hart said. It saves time. Her eyes softened when she looked at him. You ready? Depends, he said. You going to make me balance on one foot while naming all 50 states again? Only 40 today, she said. We're scaling back. Emma smiled. She stayed for the session as personal confinement assistant, leaning unobtrusively against the wall. She watched Adrian wobble through balance exercises, walk heel to toe along a taped line, resist Dr. Hart's gentle pushes. Every time he faltered, he pushed himself harder, pride and anger driving him. It hurt to watch. At one point, Dr. Hart glanced at Emma. You all right, over there? Yeah, Emma said. Just realizing I'm lazier than I thought. Feel free to join in, Dr. Hart said. Half my patients' families end up doing the exercises with them. It helps. I don't have a concussion, Emma said. You have a brain and a body that get tired, Dr. Hart said. That's enough. Adrian smirked. Come on, Carter. She rolled her eyes, but when Dr. Hart taped a second line on the floor, Emma stepped onto it. Walk, Dr. Hart said. Heel to toe, slow. Emma did. Her sneakers traced the line, step by step. Halfway down, she glanced sideways. Adrian was matching her pace on his line. Jaw set, gaze fixed forward. For a moment, they moved in tandem. Two people walking the same fragile line in a room filled with mirrors and expectations. Not bad, Dr. Hart said. Both of you. Do I get a medal? Adrian muttered. You get another week of not falling down the stairs, she replied. That's better than a medal. When they were done, Emma grabbed a clean towel and handed it to him without thinking. He took it, their fingers brushing. Thanks, he said quietly. Any time, she said. They went back to his room the way they'd come, Adrian, Emma, and the silent shadow of security behind them. As the door closed and the guard's footsteps faded, Emma realized something. For all the cameras, for all the rules, for all the things wired under skin and into walls, there was now one place in this house where they were supposed to be together. Not by accident, not in stolen hallway moments. By design. The cage was smaller, but so was the distance between them. Quick pause for you watching this. If you were Emma, would you lean into this forced closeness with Adrian, or keep things strictly professional, no matter how trapped he seems? Drop your take in the comments, because what you do here says a lot about you. Lockdown blurred the days together. Morning physio. Brunch that wasn't called brunch. Tutors on screens. Evening arguments, muffled by walls. Emma drifted in and out of Adrian's orbit like a small moon, always close, never quite sure what gravity she was obeying. By the fourth day, she knew the rhythm of his sighs, the way his left hand twitched when he was annoyed, the precise second in a conversation when he would crack a joke instead of admitting something hurt. What she didn't know was how any of this started. She found the first clue in the weirdest place, under his bed. She was changing the sheets, tugging crisp corners tight, when her mop bumped something solid beneath the frame. She crouched, pushing strayed dust bunnies aside. A box stared back at her. Old cardboard, scuffed edges, the kind of thing that didn't belong in a house where everything gleamed. Seriously? She muttered. You're rich and you still stash stuff under your bed like a teenager. Like who? Adrian's voice drifted from the bathroom, where he was brushing his teeth. Like absolutely no one in particular, she said quickly, sliding the box out. The tape had been peeled up and refastened a dozen times. The top didn't quite close. Hey, he called, mouth full of foam. Don't touch that. She froze, hands on the box. Touch what? That, he said, emerging with a towel around his neck. The box. Boundaries, Carter. It literally tried to murder my mop, she said. I was defending myself. He moved faster than she expected, crossing the room in 3 long strides. He grabbed the box and shoved it back under the bed, jaw tight. You okay? She asked warily. Yeah, he said. I just don't like people going through my stuff. I wasn't going through anything, she said. I was cleaning. He raked a hand through his hair, wincing when his fingers brushed the bandage. I know, he said. Just leave that alone, okay? His eyes had gone distant, guarded. The wall. Back up. Fine, she said. Your secrets are safe under there, right next to the dust. She went back to tucking in sheets, but the box sat in her mind like a weight. Everyone here had secrets. Some were stitched into skin, others taped shut in cardboard. She thought of her own Lily, the bills, the letter from Street Mary shoved in the bottom of her backpack. None of them were safe, really. Just hidden. That afternoon, the house felt heavier than usual. Security was quieter, tighter. Doors that used to be open were now closed. The staff chatter in the kitchen had turned into whispers. Emma caught fragments as she picked up Adrian's lunch tray. South wall again. Police? Are you crazy? You think he wants them here? Heard it's a rival family. She didn't linger. The last thing she needed was to be remembered as the maid who loitered during whispers. Back upstairs, she set the tray on Adrian's table. He was sitting by the window, looking out at Lake Michigan. the skyline of downtown Chicago, jagged against the gray sky. You ever actually go into the city? She asked casually. Or do you just admire it from your glass tower? Used to, he said. Before. He trailed off. She sat across from him, picking at a stray breadcrumb. Before what? She asked. He swallowed, eyes still on the water. Before my father decided the world was too dangerous for me to breathe in without supervision. That doesn't come out of nowhere, she said gently. People don't just wake up and say, I think I'll imprison my kid today. You'd be surprised, he said dryly. She waited. He didn't continue. Look, she said. I know I'm just the girl who dusts things and nags you to drink water. But you're not the only person in this room whose life didn't exactly go according to plan. He glanced at her. You practicing for a therapy degree on the side? If this pays off your student loans, you can thank me later, she said. Right now, I'm just saying sometimes it helps to say the thing out loud instead of letting it rot in your head. He studied her for a long moment, measuring. No one talks to you like that here? She asked quietly. Like, you're a person, instead of a last name? His jaw flexed. Not anymore, he said. Then maybe, she said, you could practice with someone who doesn't gain anything by turning your life into a tabloid headline. He huffed a soft laugh. You'd be surprised what people gain. I'm literally a paycheck away from sleeping in a bus shelter, she said. Trust me, I don't have the bandwidth to be anyone's villain. Silence stretched. Then, slowly, he reached for his glass of water and spun it between his fingers. Last year, he said, I tried to leave. Emma blinked. The house? The city, he said. The name. Everything. Her breath caught. What happened? He leaned back, gaze darting between her and the window. I'd been planning it for months, he said. Setting up accounts, moving small amounts of money so it wouldn't flag my father's systems. I found this guy online who specialized in new paperwork. New paperwork? She repeated. New identity, he said bluntly. Fake ID, fresh start. I figured if my father could use money to build the life he wanted, maybe I could use some of it to disappear. Emma's stomach tightened. You were really going to do it. New name, new city, he said. Somewhere like Austin or Seattle. Somewhere I'd be just another rich kid with a trust fund. Not this. Where did you go? She asked. Didn't make it past the south wall, he said. The words dropped like stones. He looked down at his hands, turning the glass slowly. I thought I timed it right, he continued. Dad was in New York. Security was thinner. I played nice for a week. Did all my appointments. Kept my head down. Then, one night, I told the guard I needed air. Walked the grounds like I always do. Went down toward the south wall. He closed his eyes. The memory was clearly still too close. Gate was supposed to be compromised on that side, he said. Gardner told me the sensor was glitching. I'd arranged for a car to wait on the road, 2 blocks away. I had a backpack ready with cash, clothes, everything I needed. Emma pictured him in the dark, moving along the wall like a shadow. What happened? She whispered. I wasn't the only one planning something that night, he said. He swallowed hard. I was halfway to the gate when shots went off, he said. Not from outside. From inside. Near the garage. Someone screamed. Then one of my father's guys yelled my name over the radio. Emma's hands curled into fists in her lap. He never yells, Adrian said. So I knew something was really wrong. Next thing I know, headlights were cutting across the lawn. Tires on grass. Not my car. 2 SUVs. Not ours. Men with masks. Guns up. He mimed, holding a rifle, eyes unfocused. They weren't there for the house, he said. They were there for me. Her chest constricted. Because of your father. Because of my father, he agreed. They figured if they grabbed the son, the king would come running. He let out a shaky breath. One of them shouted my name, he said. My real name. Told me to get in the car if I valued my life. I didn't move. I just froze. Like an idiot deer in headlights. Then, one of Dad's men tackled me from behind. We hit the side of the SUV. Hard. His hand drifted to the bandage behind his ear. That's when your head, she started. Met the metal, he finished. I remember this flash of pain and the taste of blood. Then nothing. He tapped the bandage lightly. When I woke up, I was back in my bed. My head felt like somebody had installed a radio tower in it. And the first thing I saw was my father. Did he tell you what happened? She asked. He told me they handled it, Adrian said. That I was safe. That my little walk had compromised standard security protocol. And then he said, very calmly, that he'd taken steps to make sure that if I ever tried to run again, he'd know. Her stomach turned. The chip, he nodded. Doctor came in with that same quiet voice they use in commercials where everything turns out fine. Said she had to support enhanced monitoring because of my risk profile. Emma felt sick. They cut into your head while you were unconscious. Apparently I signed something, he said bitterly. Back when I was in the hospital after Mom died. Power of attorney, medical proxy, a bunch of legalese that basically translated to, Dad gets to make all the decisions. Did you know what you were signing? She asked. He scoffed. I was 17 and grief drunk. I would have signed a napkin if it meant the beeping would stop for 5 minutes. So, he used that, she said quietly. He uses everything, Adrian said. That's what he does. He takes whatever's broken and turns it into leverage. Her throat burned. What happened to the guys in the SUVs? She asked. The ones who came for you. He looked back at the lake. You don't want to know, he said. She believed him. Silence settled, thick and full. She wanted to reach across the table and take his hand. She didn't. Instead, she said, I get it. He gave a humorless laugh. You have a tracking device in your skull, too? Not yet, she said. But I know what it feels like when someone else's choices get a vote in your body. His gaze sharpened. Who? She took a breath so deep it hurt. My sister, she said. Lily. He didn't speak. He set the glass down slowly, attention fully on her now. She's 10, Emma said. Well, she was. When this started, she stared at the table, fingers tracing an invisible pattern. She got sick, Emma continued. I thought it was just a bad flu. She kept throwing up, sleeping all the time. Mom said she was being dramatic. Then one night, she collapsed on the kitchen floor. I called an ambulance. Her voice wavered, but she didn't stop. Turns out it wasn't the flu, she said. It was leukemia. The aggressive type. They started chemo right away. Suddenly, we lived at Street Mary's. Weeks blurred into months. Nurses became family. The hospital cafeteria became our kitchen. She let out a hollow chuckle. We used to play this game, where we'd pretend the beeping IV pumps were a weird kind of music. Where was your mom? Adrian asked quietly. Gone, she said. Said she didn't sign up for this. Started staying out later. Coming home less. One day, I came back from vending machines with a bag of chips. Lily wanted and found a note on the chair. She swallowed hard. I can't do this, she recited. You're strong, Em. You'll figure it out. That was it. Adrian's eyes flared. She left you. With a sick kid. Yeah, Emma said. Apparently we were heavier than whatever she was chasing. What about your dad? He asked. Never met him, she said. Mom said he was a summer mistake with nice eyes. He winced. Ouch. Tell me about it, she said. She twisted the bracelet on her wrist, the one Lily had made from hospital bands. Anyway, she went on, suddenly it was just me and Lily and a mountain of bills. I dropped out of community college. Started working double shifts at a diner. Then nights cleaning offices. Sleep became this rumor. People kept saying it was good, but I never caught it. He watched her, jaw tight, like every word hurt him in a way he didn't understand. We got through the first rounds, she said. She lost her hair. Got it back. We celebrated everything good scans. Bad scans, that weren't worse, days where she could keep ice cream down. Then last month, the doctor sat me down and said the three words they always warn you about. Her voice cracked. It's back. Adrian's throat bobbed. They wanted to try a new protocol, she said. More intense, more targeted, more expensive. Insurance said no. Experimental treatment is not covered. The hospital gave me a pamphlet on crowdfunding, like posting my sister's bald head on the internet would magically attract benevolent strangers with open wallets. She stared at her hands, fingers clenched together. I was out of options, she said. Then I saw this job posting in a forum for hospital families. Live-in housekeeping. High pay. Confidential employer. I didn't know it was the Morettis. I just saw the dollar signs and thought, I'll clean toilets with a toothbrush if it keeps Lily alive. She laughed weakly. And now here I am, she finished, cleaning a cage wired with cameras while my kid's sister counts ceiling tiles in a hospital room. Adrian didn't say, I'm sorry. He didn't say, that's awful. He just sat there, knuckles white on the edge of the table. Where is she now? He asked. Street Mary's, Emma said. West side of Chicago. Room 417. The nurses send me updates when they can. I call between shifts. She pretends she's fine so I don't worry. I pretend I'm fine so she doesn't worry. Does she know where you work? He asked. She knows I live in a house with too many stairs and rich people who don't pick their socks up, Emma said. She doesn't know it's your house. Or who your father is. I didn't want to scare her. He exhaled slowly. Yeah. That tends to be the default reaction. Silence again. But a different kind this time. Not empty. Heavy. I shouldn't have snapped at you about the box, he said quietly. You've already got enough to carry. You're allowed to have secrets, she said. Just don't put them under the bed where some poor maid's mop could die. He smiled, but his eyes were bright. What's in it? She asked softly. The box. He hesitated. Memories, he said finally. The kind my father doesn't like seeing out in the open. Of your mom? She guessed. He nodded once. I don't want to make you talk about anything you're not ready to, she said. But she's not just a weapon in arguments, you know. She was a person. She's still yours. He swallowed hard. She used to sneak me out, he said slowly. When I was little. Before Dad's world got louder. Sneak you out where? She asked. Into the actual city, he said. Lincoln Park, Navy Pier. Once, she took me on the L train just so I'd know what it sounded like. Said a person who only heard things from inside nice cars would never understand real life. Emma smiled through the ache in her chest. I like her already. She used to make these stupid peanut butter cookies at 2 a.m. whenever Dad's guys stayed late, he continued. Said, if you're going to plan terrible things, you should at least do it with warm cookies on the table. That's oddly wholesome, Emma said. She was like that, he said. Soft in the middle of sharp things. What happened? She asked softly. If you don't mind. He stared at the lake again. She died because she fell in love with a man who thought enemies were more real than family, he said. And they proved him right. Emma sat very still. They were leaving a charity gala downtown, he said. Dad insisted on taking the usual route. Mom wanted to go a different way. Said it felt wrong. He said there were protocols, safe streets, patterns they had to follow. She rolled her eyes and got in the car anyway. He pressed his lips together. I was 14, he said. I was home, watching some stupid action movie in the theater downstairs, thinking I knew what danger looked like. He closed his eyes. I remember the house alarm tripping for incident, he said. The way the staff went from calm to frantic in 10 seconds. Then the phone call. One of Dad's guys, voice shaking for the first time I'd ever heard. She wanted to reach across the table again. They hit the car at the light, he said. Blocked them in. Took shots at the driver. Mom got in the way. Emma's hand flew to her mouth. She shielded me from everything when she was alive, he said. Guess she figured she'd do it once more on the way out. He laughed, a broken sound. After that, he said, Dad went from careful to paranoid. He doubled security, tripled it. Every shadow was a threat, every stranger a bullet. And I went from being his kid to his liability. Hence the cage, she said quietly. Hence the cage, he echoed. And the chip, she added. And the chip, he agreed. They sat with that. Two people who'd both lost something to fear. One had lost a mother, the other was at risk of losing a sister. Can I tell you something that might make you mad? She asked. Probably, he said. But sure. You're not your father, she said. You're not responsible for the way he chooses to protect or control. But you are responsible for what you do with the pieces he leaves you in. He looked at her like she'd just spoken another language. And you're not your mom, he said. You're not responsible for her bailing. But you are responsible for the fact that you're still here, working yourself to death, so your sister isn't. Her throat tightened. So, he said, maybe we both stop confusing other people's failures with our own identities. She laughed then. A wet, ridiculous laugh that turned into a sniff. Look at us, she said. Trauma, bonding over lunch. Very on brand for this house, he said. They fell into silence again. Less like two strangers trapped in the same room. More like two people sitting on opposite sides of the same crack, peering down. After a while, he cleared his throat. I want to help, he said. She frowned. Help with what? With Lily, he said. With her treatment, with the bills. She shook her head instantly. No, absolutely not. That's charity. That's pity. It's money, he said, that I have. And you need. That's math, not pity. It's your father's money, she shot back. And if he finds out you're giving it away, he'll probably install a second chip that electrocutes you every time you do something human. I have accounts he doesn't know about, he said. Assets he assumes I'm too naive to maintain. She stared at him. You mean the escape fund? He smiled faintly. Let's call it the not dying fund now. No, she said again, more softly this time. If you help, I'll be indebted to you. And then, I'm not just cleaning for your father. I'm owned twice. He winced. That's not what I know, she said gently. I know you're not trying to control me. But where I come from, debts are chains. I have enough of those. He looked like he wanted to argue. Then he looked at her bracelet, at the way her fingers had wrapped around it. What if, he said slowly, it wasn't a debt? What if it was an investment? She raised a brow. In what? My stellar abilities with a mop? In your future, he said. In the fact that you're the only person in this house who doesn't talk to me like I'm a problem to solve. She shook her head, but her eyes were wet. If you really want to help, she said, voice thick, don't let this place turn you into the thing your father already thinks you are. He swallowed. Which is? A weapon, she said. Or a trophy. Or an asset. Don't become the thing that hurt your mom and almost got you killed. He looked at her for a long time. Okay, he said quietly. Then you have to do something too. What? Don't let this house swallow you, he said. If it tries, tell me. If you feel like you're drowning, tell me. Don't just disappear one day. Because it got too much. I don't have that luxury, she said. You're allowed to need air, he said, even in a cage. Her chest ached. Deal, she whispered. Their eyes met. Something fragile and dangerous passed between them, like a spark looking for something to catch. If you were in Adrian's place right now, stuck between a controlling father and the first real connection you've felt in years, would you risk helping Emma and her sister? Or stay safe and emotionally distant? Tell me what you'd do in the comments, and why. Lockdown stretched into its second week. By then, Emma knew the way the light moved across Adrian's room, hour by hour. Morning glare on the glass at 9. Soft haze at 3. Neon reflections from downtown at night, streaking the lake like someone had dragged a paintbrush through the water. She also knew that every day around 4 p.m., he got this restless look, like a caged animal pacing the edge of its enclosure. The third time she caught it, she set down the duster and said, If you glare at that window any harder, It's going to file a harassment complaint. He sat on the couch, elbow on the armrest, chin in his hand. I'm trying to melt the glass. Haven't developed that superpower yet. Maybe you need practice, she said. Start small. Melt the ice cubes in your glass with your mind. He glanced at the untouched drink on the table. I'm more of a, let the ice melt while I overthink everything type. She wiped a smudge from the TV stand that wasn't actually there. You want a distraction? She asked. From my slow descent into cabin fever, he said. Sure. What do you have? Besides your thrilling tales of stain removal. She popped her head up over the edge of the TV. I'll have you know, I once got red Kool-Aid out of a white carpet. I'm basically a wizard. He smiled. Really smiled. It transformed his face, made him look less like a Moretti, and more like some guy you'd meet in a coffee shop before you realized his last name came with guards. All right, wizard, he said. Hit me with your best spell. She wiped her hands on her apron and sat in the armchair across from him. You ever play two truths and a lie? She asked. He frowned. Is that the thing people do at awkward team-building retreats? Yes, she said, and at hospital sleepovers when they run out of decent movies. I've never been to a hospital sleepover, he said. That's one thing you have on me. I have more than one, she said. But we'll keep your ego intact. So, I say 3 things about myself. 2 are true. 1's a lie. You guess which is which. He eyed her. What do I get if I win? A sense of smug superiority, she said. What do I get if I win? Same, he said. But mine comes with inherited trauma. She snorted. You're not allowed to weaponize self-awareness like that. It's cheating. Pick your poison, Carter, he said. You want to go first, or should I? You, she said. I need time to think of lies. He leaned back, thinking. Okay, he said. 1. I've flown private to London just to have dinner and come back the same night. 2. I've never driven a car. 3. I've been to Wrigley Field and actually sat in the regular stands. She squinted at him. You definitely flew somewhere dumb just for dinner. That's rich people 101. Rude, he said. We also do charity galas. You've definitely sat in regular stands somewhere, she went on. Your mom sounds like the type who'd drag you out of the box seats and into the real bleachers just to annoy your dad. His face softened. She did that once. Wore a Cubs hat over her fancy hair and everything. Yeah, that's a core memory, she said. Nobody lies about that. So, the lie is you've never driven a car, he smirked. Wrong. I really haven't. She blinked. Seriously? Not even around the driveway? Dad said if I learned to drive, I'd get cocky and try to ditch security more often, he said. Then the chip happened. And, well, now if I get in a car, someone else has the keys. She shook her head. That's messed up. Welcome to my life, he said lightly. So what's the lie? She asked. The Wrigley Field thing, he said. Mom always wanted to take me, but there was always a security risk. I've only ever watched from a box. You're missing out, she said. The real action isn't on the field. It's the guy 3 rows behind you, yelling at the ump like he can hear him from space. He smiled. Your turn. She thought for a moment. All right, she said. 1. I once climbed onto the roof of our apartment building during a blackout and almost fell off trying to impress my friends. 2. I got detention in high school for punching a girl who made fun of Lily's hair when it started falling out. 3. I used to sing in the church choir and fainted in the middle of a solo. His brows rose. You? Punching someone? Hard to picture. You're more of a verbal assassin. Thank you, she said. And you climbing onto a roof to impress people? He went on. You don't strike me as the look at me type. I was 15, she said. Brains were under construction. He considered her. I'm going to say the lie is the detention thing, he decided. Because if you'd punch someone, you'd tell that story with more pride. She smirked. Wrong. I did punch a girl. His eyes widened. Seriously? She called Lily Cancer Girl, Emma said. voice going flat. So I introduced her face to my fist. We became very acquainted. Did Lily know? He asked. She heard about it, Emma said. She made me draw a diagram of the punch. He laughed quietly. So the lie is, church choir? He guessed. Nope, she said. I really did faint during a solo. Front row. Pastor had to catch me. He stared. You? Heat plus nerves plus not eating breakfast, she said. He shook his head. Okay, then, what's the lie? The roof, she said. I never almost fell. I sat there the whole time, hugging the ledge and praying for the building to grow a fence. He grinned. So you're brave, but not stupid. I prefer selectively cautious, she said. They fell into easier conversation after that. He told her about the time his tutor had fallen asleep during a lesson and he'd drawn a mustache on her with a Sharpie. She told him about the marathon of kids' movies she'd watched with Lily, to the point where cartoon songs started invading her dreams. He imitated one of his father's associates so accurately that Emma almost choked on her water. She did an impression of a nurse from Street Mary's, who called everyone honey and swore in Spanish under her breath. The more they talked, the more the house receded. For a little while, they were just two people killing time on a slow afternoon, trading stories the way some people traded baseball cards. Later that week, it all shifted again. It started with a text. Emma was in the staff laundry room, loading towels into an industrial washer, when her phone buzzed in her pocket. She checked the door, made sure she was alone, then hurriedly pulled it out. A photo from one of the nurses at Street Mary's. Lily, wearing a paper crown from the pediatric craft box, grinning weakly at the camera. Her eyes were tired, but the smile was pure mischief. Beneath it, a message. Rough morning. Rougher Labs. She misses you. We tried a silly hat party. Thought you'd want to see. Emma's throat tightened. She typed back with trembling thumbs. Thank you. Please tell her I love her. I'll call later after shift. Her eyes stung. She tucked the phone away, finished the towels, and walked back upstairs like she wasn't falling apart. By the time she got to Adrian's room, she'd shoved the emotion into the tight space behind her ribs where she kept most of her panic. He looked up from the book he wasn't reading. You're late, he said lightly. Thought you ditched me for more glamorous mops. Traffic in the stairwell, she said, forcing a smile. Didn't realize rush hour was at noon. He studied her face. His own smile faded. What happened? He asked. Nothing, she said too quickly. Just a long morning. He tilted his head. You're a bad liar. I'm a very busy liar, she said. Big difference. You're also avoiding eye contact, he said. She busied herself fixing the throw blanket on the couch. Somebody's been reading an amateur therapist manual. I live with cameras, he said. You pick up on micro expressions when half your life is being replayed for security reports. She snorted, but it came out thin. I'm fine, she said. Let's get you to physio. He stood, but didn't move. Emma, he said softly, talk to me. The tenderness in his voice nearly undid her. She swallowed hard. It's just, she started, then stopped. She couldn't bring Lily into this room, into this house. She couldn't risk that. But the ache in her chest felt like it might crack her in half. Is it your sister? He asked. She froze. How did you? You only look like that when you're thinking about something you can't fix, he said. I've seen that look in my own mirror too many times. Her throat worked. She had a bad morning, Emma said finally. Labs weren't good. They sent a picture. Without asking, she pulled out her phone and held it up. He took it carefully, like the device was something fragile. His gaze softened when he saw Lily in her paper crown. She looks like trouble, he said. Emma huffed a watery laugh. She is. Same eyes as you, he noted. Same stubbornness, she said. She took the phone back, staring at the photo like she could climb into it and sit on the bed beside Lily. Crown and all. I hate that I'm here, she whispered. In this room? He asked. In this house, she said. When she's there. I hate that I can't split myself in two and be in both places. He glanced toward the cameras on the ceiling, then back at her. "What if you didn't have to choose?" he asked. She gave a short, humorless laugh. "Unless you can teleport me, pretty sure that's not an option." He walked to his desk and opened a drawer. Emma frowned. "What are you doing?" He pulled out a sleek laptop and a small, expensive-looking tablet. "You said she's in room 417, Street Mary's, West Side," he said. She stiffened. "I didn't mean... I'm not calling anyone," he said quickly. "Relax. I just want to see something." He typed with practiced ease, fingers flying over the keyboard. "You hacking a hospital right now?" she asked, half joking, half not. "No," he said. "I'm strongly suggesting a connection. Is that supposed to make me feel better?" she asked. He glanced at her. "Trust me," he said. "If I wanted to hack something, it wouldn't be a place full of sick kids." Her shoulders lowered a fraction. He opened a secure messaging app, one she didn't recognize, and tapped a contact labeled only with initials. A brief exchange flashed by too fast for her to read. A few minutes later, he looked up. "What's her nurse's name?" he asked. "Jenna," she said slowly. "Why?" He typed again. 3 dots appeared on the screen. Then, a message. He smiled. "What?" she demanded. "Put your phone on video," he said. "My phone? What are you?" "Just do it," he said. "Humor me." Her heart hammered as she opened her call app and tapped Lily's contact. It rang once, twice. Then the screen flickered and Lily's face filled it. "Not a photo. Liv. M?" Lily's voice crackled through the speaker, smaller than Emma remembered, but unmistakably hers. "Why are you calling now? Isn't it, like, fancy rich people cleaning time?" Emma's knees almost buckled. She sank onto the couch. "Hey, Bug," she breathed. "You look ridiculous." Lily adjusted her paper crown. "It's called fashion. You wouldn't get it." Emma laughed, tears sliding down her cheeks. "How are you feeling?" she asked. "Like a popsicle somebody microwaved," Lily said. "But Jenna smuggled me Jell-O, so it's not all bad. Where are you?" "That's not the break room." Emma glanced at Adrian. He was standing slightly off-screen, out of view, watching with an expression Emma had never seen on his face, a soft, almost reverent focus. "I'm in a guest room," Emma said. "It's big and stupid and has too many pillows." "Take one," Lily said. "Pillow heist." "Do it, coward," Emma snorted. "Who are you talking to?" Lily asked suddenly, squinting. "I heard a boy voice." Emma's heart skipped. "Just another staff member." "Is he cute?" Lily demanded. Emma almost choked. "Focus, child." "I'm on a lot of meds," Lily said. "Let me have this." Adrian muffled a laugh. Emma shot him a glare, then turned the camera slightly, just enough that Lily could see a sliver of him without identifying anything else. "That's Mr. Adrian," she said. "He's my boss's son." "Whoa," Lily whispered. "He looks like he belongs in one of those shows you watch where everyone has secrets and great hair." Emma covered her face with her free hand. Adrian's ears went faintly pink. "Hi, Lily," he said, leaning into view a little more. "Nice crown." "Thank you," she said gravely. "It gives me powers." "What kind?" he asked. "The kind where, if somebody is mean to my sister, they get explosive diarrhea," she said. Emma groaned. "Lily." "What?" Lily said. "You want me to use my powers or not?" Adrian laughed, genuinely. "Remind me never to get on your bad side." "Are you nice to her?" Lily asked bluntly. He sobered. "I try to be." "Good," she said. "Because she works too much and forgets to eat. And she thinks nobody notices." "But I do." Emma stared at her. Adrian's gaze slid to Emma. "Noted." Jenna's voice floated faintly from somewhere off-screen. "Lily, you've got 5 more minutes, okay?" Adults," Lily muttered. "Hey, Em." "Yeah, Bug," Emma said, wiping her cheeks. "Don't feel bad," she said. "You're doing the job of, 6 people. I don't need you to be here all the time. I just need you to not give up, okay?" Emma's chest ached so much she thought it might split. "I won't," she whispered. "And rich boy?" Lily said. Adrian blinked. "Yeah?" Thanks for letting me borrow her for a minute, Lily said. Don't make her clean bathrooms all day. Her hands get gross. He smiled softly. I'll do my best. The call ended too quickly, as they always did. The screen went dark. Emma sat there, phone in her lap, feeling like someone had opened a window in a room she didn't realize was suffocating her. How did you, she started. Dad has connections, Adrian said. Suddenly self-conscious. Hospital networks, secure lines, that kind of thing. He uses them to make people answer his calls faster. I figured, for once, they could be used for something that doesn't involve intimidation. You just texted someone, and they made that happen? She asked. Basically, he said. When very important men call and say, I'd like to make a donation to your pediatrics wing, but I'd also love to see your telehealth capabilities in action, people tend to accommodate. Emma swallowed. You're not your father, she said quietly. Debatable, he said. No, she insisted. He uses power to control. You just used it to give my sister a 5-minute window where we both forgot how horrible everything is. That's not the same thing. He looked away, jaw tight. I know you don't want a debt, he said. So consider this selfish. Selfish, she repeated. He shrugged. You're easier to be around when you're not carrying the weight of the world solely by your eyelashes. Despite herself, she laughed. Thank you, she said. For real. You're welcome, he said. Silence fell, but it wasn't heavy this time. It was gentle. She stood and, without thinking too hard about it, crossed the room. He watched her, a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. She stopped in front of him, close enough to see the faint stubble on his jaw, the tiny scar by his eyebrow she'd never noticed before. Can I hug you? She asked quietly. He blinked, caught off guard. I don't remember the last time someone asked me that. I'm asking, she said. You get to choose. He swallowed. Then, slowly, he nodded. Yeah, he said. Okay. She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him, gently at first, mindful of his head, of the chip, of all the invisible fractures under his skin. For a second, he stayed rigid. Then his body relaxed, almost all at once, like a taut wire finally loosening. He hesitated, then folded his arms around her, pulling her closer. He smelled like soap and coffee, and something uniquely him. She rested her cheek lightly against his chest, feeling the steady thump of his heart. He held on like he didn't know how to let go anymore. Careful, Mr. Moretti, she murmured. You might start liking human contact. He huffed a shaky breath that might have been a laugh. Careful, Miss Carter, he said. You might start making cages feel less like cages. They stood like that for a long moment, two people pretending the rest of the world didn't exist. The cameras watched. The chip under his skin sat silent. But for once, neither of them felt observed. They just felt seen. When they finally pulled apart, his eyes were a little too bright. Her cheeks were definitely too wet. If you tell anyone I cried, she said, I'll deny it. Same, he said. They smiled at each other, something warm and terrifying blooming between them. Emma, he said softly. Yeah? You're not invisible, he said. Not here, not anymore. Her chest squeezed. Neither are you, she replied. Quick question for you watching this. Do you think hugs like that can actually heal anything? Or are they just momentary bandages over deeper wounds? Drop your honest take in the comments. I'm curious where you fall on that. It happened 3 days after the video call. By then, the hug had settled into Emma's memory like a warm bruise. Tender if she poked it, comforting if she didn't. The lockdown was still on, but the edges had softened. Guards were less jumpy. Staff moved more freely. Even the house seemed to exhale a little. Emma and Adrian fell into a pattern that almost felt normal. Mornings, physio and snark. Afternoons, work, tutoring, and stolen conversations between tasks. Evenings, movies or music with the volume low. The rest of the house, a distant hum. On the third night, a storm rolled in off the lake. Rain hammered the glass, turning the windows into blurred mirrors. Lightning flashed over the water. Thunder shook the floor, distant but deep. Emma was refolding shirts in his closet, turning chaos into neat stacks. Behind her, Adrian sat on the edge of the bed with his laptop open, some financial report forgotten in favor of a music playlist. "Do you ever get tired of all the gray?" she asked, hanging another black hoodie. "What? Outside?" he said. "Or in my wardrobe?" "Both," she said. "You own, like, 3 colors: black, charcoal, and rich guy navy." He glanced down at his t-shirt. "At least it's consistent." She stepped back, surveying the closet with exaggerated critical eyes. "You need one ridiculous shirt," she declared. "Something bright, loud, borderline offensive." "I live in a house where my father planted a bug in my skull," he said. "I'm not sure I can survive a Hawaiian print." She laughed and turned toward him. He was already watching her. The storm cast shifting shadows over his face. The soft lamplight caught the curve of his jaw, the dark fringe of his lashes, the faint scar near his eyebrow. Their eyes locked. The air changed. He closed the laptop slowly. "You ever think about after?" he asked. "After what?" she said, suddenly very aware of how close they stood. "After this house," he said. "After the chip, after the hospital bills, after the worst parts." She swallowed. "Sometimes." "What does it look like?" he asked. She leaned against the closet doorframe. "A cheap apartment with no mold and windows that actually open. Lily's art all over the walls. Quiet mornings. Me not calculating whether I can afford to buy orange juice and rent in the same week." He smiled. "Orange juice? Huh? Dream big. You?" She countered. "What's your after?" He stared past her, seeing something else. "A place where nobody knows my last name," he said softly. "Where I can go outside without a guy 3 feet behind me pretending to look at pigeons. Where if someone looks at me, it's because I said something stupid, not because they're calculating my ransom value." She took a step closer before she realized it. "Maybe," she said, "those aren't as impossible as they feel." He huffed a quiet laugh. "You seen my life?" "I've seen your cage," she said. "I've also seen you hack a hospital call and charm my 10-year-old sister in under 5 minutes. You're not helpless, Adrian. You're stuck. There's a difference." The way she said his first name did something to him. He looked up at her. For a second, the storm faded. The world narrowed to her tired eyes and stubborn mouth, and the way she somehow made this room feel bigger. "You ever think about?" He stopped himself, shook his head. "Never mind." "What?" she pressed. "It's stupid," he said. "Say it anyway," she said. He hesitated. "I think about you not having to choose between starving and saving your sister," he said quietly. "I think about walking into that hospital without an army and just checking on her, like normal people do." Her breath hitched. "I think about sitting in some crappy diner with you," he went on, voice low, "arguing over pancakes instead of trauma. I think about what it would be like to know you somewhere that isn't 60 feet from a security room." Silence stretched, taut and shimmering. Her heart pounded so loud, she was sure the cameras could hear it. "Adrian," she whispered. He stood. They were only a few feet apart now. The storm made everything glow and flicker. The air buzzed. "This is a bad idea," she said, but she didn't move back. "Probably," he agreed, taking a small step closer. "So, is letting someone put a tracking device in your head?" "My judgment's already questionable." She almost smiled. He reached up, slow enough that she could stop him, and brushed a curl back from her face. Her skin tingled under his fingers. "You make this place feel less like punishment," he said. "I don't remember the last time someone did that." "Nobody in this house knows who I really am," she said, words trembling. "Except you. You're the only one who knows about Lily. About why I'm here. You're the only one who knows about the night at the south wall," he said. "About the chip. About how much I hate being my father's son." He was close enough now that she could see tiny flecks of gold in his dark eyes. "Emma," he murmured. Her name in his mouth did something reckless to her. She knew every reason she shouldn't close the distance. He was her employer's son. He was tangled in a world of violence and power she wanted no part of. His father could crush her life with a phone call, and yet, standing in that storm-lit room, with grief and fear and longing stacked between them like fragile glass, she wanted to forget all of that. Just for a second, he leaned in, slowly, giving her every chance to step away. She didn't. Their lips were a breath apart when the door opened. They jerked back like they'd been caught stealing. Vincenzo Moretti stood in the doorway. He wasn't supposed to be there. Not without knocking. Not without warning. He took in the scene in a single glance. His son, too close to the maid, the storm outside, the warmth in the air that had nothing to do with the thermostat. The temperature in the room dropped. "Am I interrupting?" he asked. His tone was mild. His eyes were lethal. Emma's heart stopped. "No," she said hastily, stepping back. "I was just finishing the closet." "I'll stay," he said. The word hit her like a command. Adrian's jaw clenched. "What do you want?" "To speak with you," his father said. "Both of you." Emma's stomach turned. He stepped into the room, closing the door behind him with a soft click that sounded louder than thunder. "For someone on lockdown," Vincenzo said, "you seem remarkably busy." Adrian folded his arms. "Forgive me for trying to entertain myself between interrogations." Vincenzo's gaze slid to Emma. "Miss Carter." She straightened. "Sir, I've been watching you," he said. Every part of her went cold. "Sir, you work hard," he said evenly. "You're efficient. You don't steal, you don't gossip, you keep to yourself. These are rare qualities." She blinked. "Thank you. I've also been watching how my son looks at you," he continued. Adrian's shoulders went rigid. "Don't. You let staff into your perimeter now?" Vincenzo asked him. "Is that what happens when I tighten security? You get creative with your rebellions?" "It's not a rebellion," Adrian snapped. "She's doing her job." "Is that what you were doing just now?" his father asked. Dusting each other's lips? Emma's face burned. "It's not like that," she said quickly. "I would never." "Spare me the denial," he cut in, voice still calm, which somehow made it worse. "I pay for cameras, Miss Carter. The walls here do more than hold up the roof." Her chest constricted. Every conversation, every shared smile, the hug, he'd seen it all. "I don't care what you think you feel," Vincenzo said, looking between them. "I care about what makes us vulnerable." "I'm not a vulnerability," Emma said, before she could stop herself. He turned his gaze on her fully then. It was like stepping in front of an oncoming train. "You are a liability," he said softly. "A housekeeper with access to the East Wing and a sick sister in a public hospital. You are a list of weaknesses on legs." Adrian stepped closer to her. "You don't get to talk to her like that." "This is what you don't understand," his father said. "Everyone who touches your life touches mine. Every person you allow close gives our enemies another pressure point." "I'm not a pressure point," Emma said, anger rising to meet her fear. "I'm just trying to keep my sister alive." "Yes," he said. Her stomach turned. "I would never hurt him." "You wouldn't have to," he said. "All it would take is one late-night call from someone who offers you a miracle for that girl in room 417 inches exchange for information." He knew the room number. He'd heard everything. Emma's vision swam. "I'm not a traitor," she said. "I don't care about your business. I don't want to be involved in any of this." "But you are involved," he said. "Simply by being here. By knowing what you know. By touching him." Adrian's hands curled into fists. "Don't blame her for your choices," he said. "You put the chip in my head. You built the cage." She just turned on a light. Vincenzo's eyes flicked to the bandage behind Adrian's ear. "I did what I had to," he said. "For your mother. For you. For this family." "No," Adrian said, voice shaking. "You did what makes you feel in control." His father stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You think that girl will still be around when they come for you again?" he asked. "You think she won't run the first time someone offers her a way out? You think you won't drag her down with you, even if she stays? That's not fair." Emma said, heat rising to her cheeks. You don't know me. I know desperation, he said. I built an empire on understanding it. Then you should know, she said, voice trembling, that there are lines even desperate people don't cross. He watched her for a long moment. I see two options, he said finally. You leave this house, or you stay under different terms. Adrian's head snapped up. What's that supposed to mean? If she wants to stay, Vincenzo said, she does so under my protection, on a higher tier, with certain agreements. Emma's skin crawled. Agreements like what? You sign a non-disclosure far more serious than the one you signed as housekeeping, he said. You move to staff quarters on this floor. Your movements are monitored more closely. Your contacts are restricted. You accept that your life is tied, formally, to his. It already is, Adrian muttered. And Lily? Emma asked, voice barely above a whisper. What happens to her? He looked at her, calculating. Her bills go away, he said simply. The treatment moves forward. Street Marys will never say the word denied to you again. In exchange, you belong to this house. The room tilted. It was everything she'd dreamed of and everything she feared in the same breath. Freedom for Lily. A cage for Emma. Adrian went pale. No. Absolutely not. You don't get to decide for her, his father said. She's not a bargaining chip, Adrian snapped. Everyone is a bargaining chip, Vincenzo said calmly. That's the problem you've never understood. Emma's heart pounded so hard it hurt. What if I say no? She asked. Then you leave, he said. Today. With a generous severance package and a signed agreement that ensures you never speak softly near a microphone again. And my sister, she croaked, becomes one more file in a stack I don't have time to revisit, he said. Adrian looked like he might be sick. You can't do that, he said. You dangled hope in front of her, and now you're… I am offering a solution, his father said. Expensive solutions require expensive commitments. Emma's hands shook. If I stay, she said, I can't visit her? You could, he said, with escort, under my conditions, on my timeline. You want to own me, she whispered. I want to secure my son, he said. If he insists on letting you close, I would rather you be on my side. That's not protection, Adrian said. That's possession. His father's gaze hardened. You've grown arrogant. I've grown awake, Adrian shot back. You can't buy everyone, Dad. Watch me, he said. Silence. The storm railed against the windows. Emma felt like she was standing at the edge of a cliff with no ground underneath. She could save Lily, or she could keep the last scrap of autonomy she had. She looked at Adrian. His eyes were raw. Don't do this, he said softly. Not for me. Not like this. She'd get what she needs, Emma said, her voice breaking. I could stop counting coins in parking lots. I could sleep. You wouldn't sleep, he said. You'd lie awake listening for footsteps. He stepped closer, ignoring his father. Don't trade one cage for another, because it has nicer sheets, he whispered. Tears blurred her vision. You think I want to leave you here? She whispered back. In this house? With him? His throat bobbed. I don't want you to leave me at all. The honesty in his voice nearly broke her. Vincenzo watched them, expression unreadable. You will decide in the next hour, he said. He turned and walked to the door. Why are you doing this? Adrian demanded. His father paused, hand on the handle. Because, he said quietly, without looking back, the last time I let love walk blind in this house, I buried my wife. I will not bury my son too. He left. The door closed. The storm thundered. Emma and Adrian stood in the center of the room, shattered. She sank onto the edge of the bed, head in her hands. This is insane, she whispered. He can't just own my life. That's not how any of this is supposed to work. He doesn't care how it's supposed to work, Adrian said hoarsely. He cares about what makes him sleep at night. Part of me wants to tell him to go to hell, she said. To walk out and never look back. To figure it out on my own. Then do it, he said. I'll help. I'll find another way for Lily. I'll You can't, she said, looking up. He watches everything you do. He probably already knows you reached out for that call. If you try something else. He flinched like she'd slapped him. I won't let him trap you, he said. You can't stop him from being who he is, she said quietly. Just like I can't stop the hospital from sending bills. She stood, wiping her face. I need to think, she said. I can't breathe in here. He nodded, eyes glossy. Take the staff hallway. Fewer cameras. She almost laughed at that. Emma, he said, as she moved toward the door. She turned, stunned. You are worth everything, she said. That's the problem. Then she stepped out into the hallway, leaving him alone with his father's ghost and the storm. For the first time since she'd arrived at the Moretti estate, Emma felt truly, completely lost. She found the quietest place in the house, the linen closet Rosa had mentioned weeks ago. The one camera in the hallway faced outward. Inside, surrounded by neatly folded towels and spare duvets, Emma could finally breathe without feeling lenses on her skin. She shut the door behind her and slid down the wall until she was sitting on the cold floor, knees pulled to her chest. The closet smelled like detergent and something faintly floral. She pulled out her phone. Her thumb hovered over Lily's contact. She couldn't tell her any of this. Couldn't say, hey, bug, quick update. Your life might be saved because I sold mine. Instead, she opened her notes app and started typing. Pros of staying. Lily's treatment paid. Consistent access to hospital, even if controlled. Chance to keep Adrian from disappearing under his father's weight. Cons of staying. Owned. Watched. Trapped. She stared at the list until the words blurred. Her mind flashed back to every shift at the diner, to the way her legs had ached after 12 hours on her feet for tips that barely covered groceries, to the second job, mopping floors in office buildings while fluorescent lights hummed, to sitting on plastic hospital chairs, pretending her spine wasn't on fire, counting out crumpled bills to pay for parking. She thought of walking into street Mary's last month with a printout of the new protocol and being told, I'm sorry, Miss Carter. There's nothing more we can do unless you can pay. Helplessness had never sat well on her shoulders. It felt like wearing someone else's coat, 2 sizes too small. And now, here was something she'd sworn she never wanted. A powerful man offering to fix it all with one signature. At the cost of her life, she pressed her forehead to her knees. What would you do, Mom? She whispered, even though the answer burned. Run? Her mother would have taken the money and disappeared. Emma wasn't her mother. Her phone buzzed. A new photo from the nurse at Street Mary's. This time, Lily was holding up a whiteboard that said, Fighting today. Tell your boss, I want a raise for you. Emma choked on a sob. She couldn't fix this with a good attitude. She needed power. She hated that right now. The only power within reach belonged to a man whose ethics were built on a foundation of control and fear. She was still staring at the photo when the closet door creaked. She jumped, wiping her face. Rosa stood in the doorway, eyebrows raised. If you're trying to become a towel, you're doing a great job of blending in. Emma tried to laugh. It came out strangled. Sorry, she said. Just needed a minute. Rosa shut the door behind her, dimming the light. I heard he pulled you upstairs, Rosa said quietly. The big boss. Emma's heart skipped. There are a lot of bosses in this house. Only one makes the elevators move differently, Rosa said. You have that look. What look? Emma asked. The one people get when they realize what working for the Morettis really means, Rosa said. What did he offer you? Emma hesitated. Everything, she said. Rosa exhaled. Ah, he'll pay for Lily's treatment, Emma said. All of it. No questions. No delays. In exchange, I sign away my life. Higher security. More restrictions. Basically become property. Rosa's jaw tightened. And, if you say no, I leave today, Emma said. With a severance that might cover a few months. Then it's back to juggling jobs and watching bills pile up while I pretend I'm not breaking. Rosa leaned back against a shelf, eyes closing briefly. I'm not supposed to talk about this, she said. But I've been here long enough to know one thing. What? Emma whispered. Everybody in this house made a deal with the devil, Rosa said. Some people got money. Some got safety. Some got revenge. None of them got out unchanged. Emma swallowed. What about you? Rosa's eyes flicked to her. I came here with a son who needed surgery, she said. No insurance, no options. They offered to pay. I said yes. He's 18 now. Healthy. Lives with his aunt in Florida. Thinks I work at a hotel. Do you regret it? Emma asked. Every day, Rosa said. And also, not at all. Tears pricked Emma's eyes. That's not helpful, she said miserably. It's the truth, Rosa said. You think there's a clean choice here? There isn't. There's just the one you can live with when you look at yourself in the mirror. Emma thought of Lily's face on the screen. Of Adrian's eyes when he said, "Don't trade one cage for another because it has nicer sheets." You stayed, Emma said. For my son, Rosa said. I told myself I'd leave when the debt felt paid. Then one more emergency came. One more bill. One more reason. Suddenly, 11 years were gone. Her voice softened. I'm not saying don't take the deal, she said. I'm saying if you do, know that the exit doors get farther away every year. What if I say no? Emma asked. What if I walk? Then you fight like hell on the outside, Rosa said. You find 3 jobs instead of 2. You beg, you borrow, you crowdfund. You call every charity on a list. And you watch that girl go through things no kid should ever see. Emma's chest ached. There's no winning. Rosa reached out and squeezed her hand. No, she said. There's just different flavors of losing. You pick the one with the least poison. Emma swallowed around the lump in her throat. What would you do? She asked. If you were me, knowing what you know now? Rosa didn't answer right away. Finally, she said, I'd ask myself one question. Who do I trust more with my soul, this house, or myself? And then, I'd choose the path where I trust myself to live with the consequences. Tears spilled over. I'm so tired, Emma whispered. Everything feels heavy all the time. Rosa's eyes softened. You're allowed to be tired. Just don't let tired pick for you. She squeezed Emma's shoulder and slipped back out, closing the door. Emma sat in the dim light, phone in her hand, heart in pieces. She didn't know how long she stayed there. She thought of Lily's whiteboard message. Don't give up. She thought of Adrian's voice in the hallway. You're allowed to need air, even in a cage. She thought of Vincenzo's offer, the way he'd said, you belong to this house. Her whole life, people had made choices for her. Her mother had chosen to leave. Insurance companies had chosen to deny. Now a man with an empire wanted to choose whether her sister lived or died. Maybe this was her terrible, necessary moment to choose something back. She stood, legs trembling, and opened the closet door. Her reflection stared back at her from the polished metal of a nearby cart. Messy bun, red eyes, cheap uniform. She looked like a maid. She didn't feel like one. She felt like someone standing at the edge of a war she hadn't started but maybe, somehow, could finish differently. She took the staff stairs 2 at a time. At the landing before the east wing, a guard stepped in front of her. Miss Carter, he said. Mr. Moretti is expecting you in his office. She wanted to turn around and run. Instead, she nodded. The office was on the 1st floor, a room she'd only seen from a distance. Dark wood. Heavy door. No cameras visible. The guard opened it and gestured her inside. Vincenzo stood by the window, hands in his pockets, looking out at the storm-washed grounds. He didn't turn as she entered. Sit, he said. She stayed standing. I prefer to decide when I sit, she said, surprising herself. A faint smile ghosted across his face. You've had an hour, he said. What's your decision? Her heart thudded. I'll stay, she said. She tasted bile. His shoulders relaxed almost imperceptibly. But not like you think, she added. He turned then, brows slightly raised. Explain. I'll sign your paper, she said. I'll take the position, the higher security, the restrictions. You pay for Lily's treatment in full, now and going forward. You get your leverage. Then how is that not what I think? He asked. Because you don't own what I feel, she said. You don't own my mind. You don't own the part of me that decides who I care about, or why. He watched her, intrigued. You can put a tracker in my schedule, in my badge, hell, even in my skin, if that's what gets you off, she said, voice steadying as she spoke. But you cannot buy my loyalty. You can only rent my time. Bold, he said softly. You want me to stay away from Adrian emotionally? She pressed. Too late. I already care. That's not going to disappear because you sign a check. You can fire me. You can threaten me. You can make my life miserable. But you can't untangle that. His jaw flexed. Why would I tolerate an employee who openly admits she doesn't belong to me? He asked. Because, she said, I'm the only person in this house who has something to lose for both of you. He frowned. Meaning? You think I'd sell him out? She said. Turn him over to your enemies? I'd be putting a bullet in my own life. The second he falls, your promise dies with him. Lily loses everything. You think I'd risk that? He said nothing. You want leverage? She said. You already have it. It's in a hospital bed downtown who thinks paper crowns come with superpowers. You don't need to chain me up emotionally. The chain's already there. And and maybe sighed. He exhaled slowly. What are you asking for? He said. She swallowed. A contract, she said. Not just some NDA you waive when you feel paranoid. A written, binding agreement that guarantees my sister's coverage, regardless of your feelings about me. With clauses, protections. For her, you think you can negotiate with me? He asked. I think you respect people who try, she said. A flicker of something like amusement crossed his face. You've been in my house for, what, a few weeks? He said. You presume much. I presume that if you wanted a blind follower, you'd have picked someone else, she said. You picked me because I don't scare easy. Because I stood in your son's bathroom and told you he didn't deserve what you did to him. You don't need another yes man. You have a whole security team for that. He studied her for a long moment. You're playing a dangerous game, he said. So are you, she replied. The difference is, I'm doing it with a cheap phone and a sister who loves paper crowns. You're doing it with half of Chicago under your thumb. Silence. Finally, he walked to his desk, picked up a pen, and turned back to her. You will work with my lawyer, he said. He will draft an agreement. I will decide which of your demands are acceptable. I want it in writing that you can't pull her treatment if I leave, she said quickly. If I reach some limit and need out, she doesn't pay the price. That is not how this works, he said. Then I walk right now, she said, voice shaking but clear. And you get to explain to your son why the first person who made his cage feel bearable disappeared because you refused to separate your control from my sister's life. His eyes flashed. You're not negotiating from a position of strength, he said. I'm negotiating from the only position I have, she said. The edge. They stared each other down. Somewhere in the house, thunder rolled. Slowly, very slowly, he nodded. Limited protections, he said. If you leave under agreed terms. Not if you betray me. I'm not planning on betraying you, she said. I'm planning on surviving you. He almost laughed. You talk like my wife did, he said quietly. Her stomach tightened. Is that supposed to scare me? It's supposed to remind me, he said, half to himself, that the last time I ignored a woman with that tone, I ended up standing by a grave. He sat, motioning to the chair opposite. This time, she did sit. They hammered out something that wasn't quite fair and wasn't quite exploitation and sat uneasily between. He won most of the concessions. She won the one that mattered, a clause stating that any medical assistance given to Lily would not be retroactively revoked due to Emma's termination unless she directly endangered the family. If you betray us, he said, signing his name at the bottom, this paper becomes meaningless. If I betray you, she said, signing her own shaky signature, I won't need paper to tell me I've lost everything. When it was done, he leaned back. You understand what this means, he said. I understand that I'm binding myself to a man I don't trust, because the world doesn't give girls like me many clean options, she said. I also understand that you're not doing this out of charity. No, he said. I'm doing it because my son is less likely to implode with you around. That's not my job description, she said. It is now, he replied. He stood, signaling the conversation was over. Report to Mrs. Klein, he said. She'll arrange your new quarters and badge. Emma stood on shaky legs. Sir? She said. He glanced up. If you hurt him more than you already have, she said quietly, no amount of money will make this worth it, for any of us. His eyes met hers. He's still breathing, he said. That's more than I can say for some people I've loved. For now, that will have to be enough. She turned and left. Her hands were ice. Her heart felt raw. But somewhere, under all that, was a tiny, stubborn ember of something else. Resolve. She'd made her choice. Now she had to live with it. And somehow, help Adrian live with his. The next morning, Emma moved her things. The new room wasn't in the basement. It was on the same floor as Adrian's, tucked into a corner near the east wing, but technically still in the staff section. It was bigger than her old bunk space, with a small window overlooking the side garden and a private bathroom. It also had a camera in the corner. She stared up at the little black dome and lifted her chin. If you're going to watch, she muttered, I hope you're at least bored. She unpacked quickly. A few folded shirts, worn jeans, toiletries, the photo of her and Lily at a park 2 summers ago. She taped it to the wall above the bed. Her phone buzzed. A message from a number she didn't recognize. Street Mary's billing office. Your sister's outstanding balance has been cleared. Her new protocol is approved. J. Her knees almost gave out. She sank onto the bed, hand over her mouth. It was real. Whatever she'd just sold, whatever she'd just signed, it had already bought something. Time. In another part of the city, doctors were prepping medication that had been out of reach yesterday. Nurses were adjusting dosage charts. Lily was rolling her eyes at someone and demanding more Jell-O. Tears spilled over, hot and silent. She wiped them away and stood. She had work to do. When she knocked on Adrian's door, he opened it so fast she knew he'd been waiting. His eyes scanned her face. Then, the badge clipped to her uniform, different color now. Higher clearance. You stayed, he said. She nodded. I stayed, she said. On my terms. Do you have any idea what those terms mean to him? He demanded. He thinks paper makes people his. Paper doesn't own me, she said. It just makes my life complicated. You could have walked, he said. You could have been free. She stepped past him into the room. Free to do what? She asked. Watch my sister get sicker while I scrub bathrooms in 3 different zip codes? Free to lie to her about why the doctors keep saying no? Free to hate myself for leaving you here alone? He shut the door. That's not your burden, he said. Too late, she said. You're on the list. He stared at her, frustrated and hurting. What did he make you sign? He asked. A contract, she said. He covers Lily's treatment. I work here under stricter rules. I leave under agreed terms or not at all. That's not a contract, he said. That's a leash. She stepped closer. He needed me to say yes, she said softly. I needed him to put it in writing. We both got what we wanted, and something we didn't. What's that? He asked. Now we're tied together, she said. Officially, not just emotionally. His throat bobbed. I didn't want that for you, he said. I didn't want the chip for you, she countered. We don't always get to pick the weapons people use on us. We do get to pick what we do once they're in place. He looked away, jaw tight. They cleared her bills, she said. New protocol starts this week. He closed his eyes for a second, relief flickering across his face. That's good, he said quietly. That's really good. She smiled. Small, but real. Say it like you mean it, Moretti, she teased. He did. This time, his smile reached his eyes. I'm happy for her, he said. And for you. They stood there, the space between them charged with something different now. Not just longing, but shared consequence. Lockdown still on, she said. But your dad loosened a few things. Apparently, I'm now authorized support personnel. That sounds like a fancy way of saying professional babysitter, he said. Babysitters get paid hourly, she said. I get compensated in moral confusion. He snorted. Later that week, things began to shift. Lockdown finally lifted for most of the house. Guards relaxed their stances. Staff moved more freely. Deliveries resumed, somewhere. Deals were back in motion. For Adrian, not much changed. He was still mostly confined to the estate, still living with the chip humming under his skin. But something in his routine was different now. In physio, he pushed harder. You trying to impress me? Emma whispered as he held a balanced pose longer than he ever had. I'm trying to get to a point where my father can't say I'm too weak to leave this house, he panted. Ambitious, Dr. Hart said. I approve. In the evenings, he and Emma talked not just about their pasts, but about what came next. He showed her how to move money quietly, not to hide it, but to protect it from being used as leverage. She showed him how to make grilled cheese on the staff stove without setting off the fire alarm. They watched a stupid comedy show and laughed until their stomachs hurt. They watched a documentary about kids with cancer and both fell silent. Sometimes, when the house was particularly loud, with men in suits and tense conversations behind closed doors, Adrian would tilt his head, listening. You okay? She'd ask. Just measuring the storm, he'd say. One night, about a month after she'd signed the contract, Mrs. Klein called them both to the small conference room on the east wing. Is this a performance review? Adrian asked, slouching in his chair. Because if so, I think Emma deserves a raise. It's not a performance review, Mrs. Klein said. It's a medical update. Emma's stomach dropped. Is something wrong with the chip? She asked, instinctively touching the side of his head with her eyes, not her hands. A recent security analysis suggested that the device in Mr. Adrian's skull is no longer the best option, Mrs. Klein said carefully. Technology has advanced. There are less invasive methods now. External trackers, biometric corridors. The current device is outdated. Adrian sat up. Outdated, he repeated. Yes, she said. And potentially vulnerable. If someone were to compromise our internal systems, they could theoretically access it. Emma's chest tightened. So what does that mean? It means, said a voice from the doorway, it's time we took it out. They turned. Vincenzo stood there, tie loosened. Lines of fatigue etched deeper into his face. Adrian's pulse hammered. Is this a joke? He asked. Some new mind game? No, his father said. It's a liability now. I don't like liabilities. You don't like losing control, Adrian said. That too, his father admitted. Which is why we're replacing this method with others. Ones that don't involve putting foreign objects in your skull. That's an option now? Adrian demanded. It was an option then? It wasn't as effective then, his father said. My advisor assures me it is now. Technology caught up. So now that it's convenient, Emma said coldly, you're willing to treat him like a person instead of an asset. Watch your tone, Miss Carter, he said, but his heart wasn't in it. Adrian stared at him, a storm in his eyes. You're really going to take it out, he said slowly. Yes, his father said. But understand. Save the speech, Adrian said. I don't care why you're doing it. I care that you are. His father's jaw tightened. The surgery is scheduled for tomorrow, he said. Dr. Hart and Dr. Leone will handle it. Minimal risk. Emma's knees felt weak. Minimal risk, she murmured. Hate that phrase. It's better than no option, Vincenzo said. She couldn't argue with that. Adrian swallowed. Okay, he said. Let's do it. His father nodded once and left, as if he'd just signed off on a budget adjustment instead of a piece of his son's body. When he was gone, the room felt bigger. Emma sat slowly. Tomorrow, she said. Tomorrow, Adrian echoed, voice thin. Are you scared? She asked. He laughed hollowly. I'm having brain surgery. Again. What do you think? She reached across the table and took his hand. I think, she said, That whether he's doing it for the right reasons or not, this is still a victory. You get your head back. Literally. His fingers tightened around hers. If something goes wrong, he said quietly, and I come back different. Different how? She asked. Broken, he said. Angry. Lost. She squeezed his hand. Newsflash, she said gently. You're already all of those things sometimes. And you're still here. Still you. I'll take whatever version of you wakes up as long as he's breathing. His eyes shone. You don't owe me that, he said. I signed a contract with your father, she said. I didn't sign anything about my heart. That part's not negotiable. The next day, the house hummed with a different kind of tension. No one said surgery out loud. But staff moved with extra care. Guards spoke into earpieces more often. The air felt charged. Emma wasn't allowed in the operating room. She waited in a private lounge down the hall, pacing until her legs went numb. Mrs. Klein sat nearby, pretending to read a staff report. Every few minutes, she looked up, eyes flicking to the clock. After what felt like a lifetime, Dr. Hart emerged, mask hanging around her neck. Emma rushed to her. Well? She demanded. It went well, Dr. Hart said, exhaustion and relief in her eyes. Device is out, no complications. He's in recovery. Emma sagged against the wall, knees threatening to give out. Can I see him? She asked. In a little while, Dr. Hart said. Let him come out of anesthesia properly first. Will he feel different? Emma asked. He might, Dr. Hart said. Sometimes, when you've lived with something invasive for a while, you don't realize how much space it takes up in your mind until it's gone. Emma nodded, tears burning behind her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. Dr. Hart smiled softly. He had a very insistent advocate. You mean a pain in the ass, Emma said. Those, too, have medical value, Dr. Hart said. I'll send someone when you can go in. Hours later, Emma stood by his bed. The recovery room was quiet, softly lit. Monitors beeped in steady rhythms. Bandages wrapped the side of his head, white against his dark hair. He looked younger like this, vulnerable. She pulled a chair close and sat, careful not to disturb the wires. Hey, she whispered, it's me. He blinked slowly, eyes finding her. You stayed, he murmured, voice hoarse. Where else would I be? She said. He swallowed. My head feels weird, he said, like something's missing. Good, she said softly. Something was. He managed a faint smile. Did they get it all? He asked. The evil microchip has left the building, she said. You're officially less cyborg. He exhaled, a shaky breath that sounded like something leaving him. I thought I'd feel angry, he said. She brushed a thumb over his knuckles. You can be angry later, she said. Right now, just be. He closed his eyes. Stay, he whispered. I'm not going anywhere, she said. She sat there until he fell back asleep, watching the rise and fall of his chest, the way his face smoothed out, without the constant microtension he carried. Later, when she stepped into the hallway, she found Vincenzo waiting. They regarded each other in silence. He's okay, she said. Doctor. Hart says recovery will be quick. He nodded. Thank you, she added reluctantly. He raised an eyebrow. For what, Miss Carter? For listening when I said you were hurting him, she said. Even if you told yourself you were doing this for security, some part of you knew it was wrong. He studied her. I didn't do it for him, he said. She blinked. Excuse me? He looked toward the door of the recovery room. I did it, he said slowly. Because I saw the way you looked at him. Like he was more than my son. Like he was his own person. And I realized if I didn't change something, I'd lose him anyway. To you. To his own resentment. To whatever he'd become. Under all that anger. Her breath caught. You really think so little of yourself? She asked. That the only way you can imagine doing the right thing is by framing it as self-preservation? He almost smiled. Maybe I'm learning, he said, slowly. Bad teachers, worse student. She shook her head. For what it's worth, she said quietly, Your son doesn't hope you'll become a better mobster. He hopes you'll become a better father. Something flickered in his eyes at the word mobster, but he didn't correct her. My wife used to say the same thing, he murmured. Maybe listen this time, Emma said. Weeks passed. Spring crept into the city. The lake thawed at the edges. Trees on the Moretti estate budded cautiously. Adrian healed. The scar behind his ear was still tender, but the ache changed. Less phantom metal, more simple skin knitting itself back together. He slept better. He laughed more. He paced less. The first time he walked the South Garden path with Emma and only one guard trailing them, he stopped just inside the iron gate and looked back at the house. Feels different, he said. How? She asked. Lighter, he said. Or maybe that's just my head. She smiled and threaded her arm through his. Careful, she said. You keep healing like this, you might start thinking you deserve good things. He squeezed her arm gently. Do I? He asked, half teasing, half deadly serious. She met his gaze. You saved my sister's life, she said. Even if it was through a man I don't entirely trust. You've let me annoy you into being honest. You've walked lines on floors and in your own mind just to prove you're more than your father's shadow. Yeah. I'd say you're at least on the good things waiting list. He huffed a soft laugh. You? Me what? She asked. Do you think you deserve good things? He said. She looked out at the city skyline. I think, she said slowly, that for a long time I thought I only deserved whatever was left after everyone else took what they needed. But lately, with Lily getting real treatment, with you actually smiling sometimes, I'm starting to think maybe I can want things that aren't just survival. Like what? He asked. She hesitated. Like waking up in a place that isn't full of cameras, she said. Like visiting Lily without calculating if the bus fare will mean skipping dinner. Like sitting in that crappy diner you mentioned and arguing about pancakes instead of whether her white blood cell count is high enough to come home. He watched her, something tender in his expression. Let's make it real, he said. She frowned. What do you mean? When she's through this protocol, he said. When the doctors say she can handle being out for a day, I want you to bring her here. Her eyes widened. Here? Not to the house, he said quickly. To the dock. To the edge of this life. I'll have a boat ready. We'll go out on the lake. Just one afternoon, where we're not patient, Maid, Mafia air. Just 3 idiots on a boat, trying not to fall in. She stared at him. You'd do that? She whispered. I'd do anything that makes that kid in the paper crown smile, he said. And anything that gives you one day where you're not choosing between fires to put out. Her throat tightened. It might take time, she said. She's not. Out of the woods. Then we wait, he said. I've lived in a cage my whole life. I can handle waiting for something that's actually worth it. She laughed through tears. You're getting good at this whole human feelings thing, she said. Don't tell my father, he said. It'll ruin my brand. Months later, on a bright day that smelled like new beginnings, they did just that. Lily had made it through the latest protocol. It wasn't a miracle, the doctors said. But it was progress. Her numbers were better. Her hair had started growing back in soft fuzz. She was still in the fight. With clearance from Street Mary's, a nurse, and Emma's own terror, they brought her to the lake. She stepped off the car in oversized sunglasses and a hoodie, looking around with wide eyes. Dude, she whispered. Your rich people lake is huge. Adrian stood by the dock in jeans and a plain t-shirt, looking more like a guy in his 20s than he ever had inside the house. You must be Lily, he said, blowing an overly dramatic bow. I've heard you have explosive diarrhea powers. I mean, magical abilities. She grinned. Depends on if you behave. They boarded the boat. For a few golden hours, everything else fell away. They fed seagulls bread they weren't supposed to feed them. Lily told Adrian every embarrassing story she knew about Emma. He retaliated with tales of his own teenage awkwardness. Emma laughed until her sides hurt. No guards on the boat. They stayed on the dock, a respectful distance away. Emma could feel their eyes, but for once, they weren't the point. At one point, Lily fell quiet, staring at the city skyline. You know what I think? She said. What? Emma asked. I think we're all kind of chipped, Lily said. In our heads. With fear and stuff. And maybe the point isn't to yank it out all at once. Maybe it's to make the fear smaller by putting better things around it. Emma and Adrian exchanged a look. When did you get so smart? Adrian asked. Chemo, Lily said. Kills cancer, leaves wisdom. Emma rolled her eyes. Pretty sure that's not how it works. It is now, Lily said. I saw it on TikTok. They laughed. As the sun dipped lower, painting the water in streaks of orange and pink, Adrian leaned against the railing beside Emma. You ever think we'd get here? He asked. Honestly? She said. No. I thought I'd either be dead from exhaustion or arrested for punching another parent in a hospital waiting room. He chuckled. How's your head? She asked, nudging his shoulder. Quieter, he said. Lighter. Sometimes I reach back and think it's still there. Then I remember it's not. And I feel hopeful, which is terrifying. Hope is supposed to be terrifying, she said. Means you care what happens next. He glanced at her. What do you want to happen next? He asked. She looked out over the water. In a perfect world, she said, Lily gets better. I finish school someday. You figure out how to be Adrian Moretti without being your father's shadow. We leave this house and get that diner breakfast, and you finally taste pancakes that weren't made by a private chef. He smiled. In this world? He asked. She took a breath. We keep doing the messy version of that, she said. We stay. We fight. We draw lines with whatever power we have. We love people who scare us with how much they matter. We make cages feel less like cages, until maybe, someday, they're just places we used to live. He watched her like he was memorizing her. Can I kiss you now? He asked softly. Without your boss walking in? Her heart skipped. She glanced at Lily, who was at the bow of the boat, arms outstretched, yelling something about being king of the world in a bad movie accent. She's distracted, Emma said. We've got maybe 7 seconds. He smiled, stepped closer, and cupped her face gently, mindful, always, of her choices. You sure? He asked. For once, she said. Yeah, I'm sure. He kissed her. This time, there were no storms inside glass walls, no cameras, no chips under skin, just the taste of salt and sun, the feel of his hands, her heart pounding, and the quiet knowledge that this was not an escape from their lives, but part of the life they were choosing, messy, compromised, hard-won. When they broke apart, she rested her forehead against his. Love at last, huh? He murmured. Unexpected love, she corrected. Don't get cocky. He laughed, the sound low and full, and pulled her in again. On the dock, unseen, a man in a suit watched. Vincenzo Moretti stood with his hands in his pockets, eyes on the boat. He saw his son laughing with a girl who'd never once cowered in front of him. He saw a little girl with a paper-crowned spirit throwing her arms wide at the skyline. He saw something he hadn't expected to see when he built his empire. Hope. Mrs. Klein stepped up beside him. Problem, sir? She asked. He shook his head slowly. Just a complication, he said. She followed his gaze. Not all complications are bad, she said. He hesitated. When I put that device in his head, he said quietly, I told myself I was saving him. But really, I was saving myself from the fear of losing him. I almost lost him anyway. Maybe this is a better risk. She looked at him, surprised. You're letting them be? She asked. For now, he said. She signed the paper. He made his choice. I can control their bodies. I cannot control their hearts. He exhaled, a man unused to admitting limits. His mother would have liked her, he added. Yes, Mrs. Klein said. She would have. On the boat, Emma and Adrian stood side by side, wind in their hair, Lily's laughter in their ears. The lake stretched wide. The city loomed, full of danger and promise. They weren't free, not completely. But they weren't alone, either. And sometimes, in a world built on debts and power and fear, that was the biggest victory of all. If you made it all the way here, take a second to ask yourself, in your own life, where have you traded freedom for safety? And is it a trade you'd still make today? And if this story hit you anywhere in the chest, let me know what part stuck with you most. Thanks for watching. Kindly like, share, and subscribe for more interesting stories.